Yeah, but it's like those two combined make up one release almost.
Yeah.
As far as the amount of content. And then we're back to
I
waiting
will
until
say
February.
we might, and again, I don't know if this is the case, but there might be some of that. Call it tech debt. Some of that tech debt taken back just because it's all digital instead of having to actually make arrangements to physically go to some place, setting shit up.
Oh, for the actual con. Right, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there might be just a little bit, just a hair taken back from that, but
then
it's
also because of that,
right.
they might be going, we have to put on a really good show, so let's put even more effort into it, which means it, less things on the roadmap actually get completed because they're focusing on
You know what I would love
even
to
a
see
better
for
show.
SitCon? I would just love to see another free digital goodies pack like we got last year. I think that was pretty cool.
What
They're like, hey, here's this custom helmet, here's this custom undersuit, here's
gotcha.
a pistol, just that kind of stuff. Because it's like, especially for like new players who haven't bought much, their accounts have just been sitting there, they might not have been playing the game much. It's like, hey, here's
I kind of don't want that though.
I kind of like. Oh, gone.
Well, I'm just, the only reason I'm saying I don't like it is because to me, it seems like they could do that kind of stuff. Like, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with that. Like, get new people involved by kind of going, hey, look, here's some goodies. You've been around for a little while, blah, blah, blah. But for me, SitCon has always been, and to me, I'd like it to remain kind of like the state of the game and where we're going. And I'd like them to keep focused on that instead of, hey, come check us out and get some goodies. Because then, to me, it's too easy to fall into that trap of every year they're going to try and make it a little bit better and bigger goodies. And then people are just showing up for the stuff, and we're getting less and less information. That's the only reason I say that.
You're not wrong. And I mean, to be fair, too, like what we got last year, I think for the undersuit and the helmet, the undersuit was just the one from the subscriber armor, just recolored. It was black and gray instead of the tan, red, whatever.
Right.
Same with the helmet. It was just like a standard. I don't even remember the helmet name, but it was just a standard helmet we already have, just with a opaque visor. And it's like, hey, it takes.
That's cool.
It was the Odyssey. It was the RSI Odyssey Alpha helmet with the
I just don't
visor,
want that to become a focus, I guess, is what I'm saying.
No. Like, I fully agree. It's just, especially because we aren't having a SitCon again this year, just it'd be cool to get some free shit. Because, hey, who doesn't like free shit?
Yeah.
And again, too,
I
because
hear
it's attributed to your account. Because it's like, for example, I really hope that we have the option to like customize and remove it. But like, I've got the trench coat with the SitCon, like 29.49, whatever it was, the year they had that.
Oh, speaking of which, where's our bomber jackets, man?
I think we have them.
Do we?
I think we had them a while ago.
You asked this question. You asked this question already. We have them for a while, yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure we always.
I have 5 of them.
No, I just heard somebody talking about it like a week ago on a stream. They're like, "I don't have mine. Where are they?" And I just
they're the Invictus bomber jackets. They have a little Invictus logo on it and everything.
No, for the for participating in the
the attributed ones to your
okay.
Yeah.
But the question would be, were they logged in during Invictus?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because you would have had to have, because and some people might not realize that you would have had to have. I don't know if it's just log into the game. I think it was just log into the game during the time period that Invictus was going on.
I think that was it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There wasn't anything like, oh, you have to have gone like to the event, or there's nothing like that as far as I'm aware.
Check. But anyways, yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't want. I'm not saying you can't give stuff away, but I just don't want it to be the focus. I want. I'd like
absolutely.
SitCon to maintain it.
The slight leak jacket in there. It was attributed on June 10th.
Cool.
Why does June 10th feel so long ago?
Well, honestly, with all the BS going on, all the stupid political crap, and Data, you heard that Afghanistan has pretty much collapsed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that alone, like, Holy crud.
Dude, I remember the day they announced we were going in, and I remember hearing it on the news as I'm like getting ready to go into work. And the first thought I had when I heard that was just, we're not going to succeed. This is going to be a failure just because of the history of that place.
The history of it, and I think the problem was there were too many mixed ideas of what the end result.
Yeah,
what
we
the
didn't have an end
was.
result.
Exactly. Yeah, there was no end goal. There was no, okay, here's the plan. We follow this. Once we hit X, we're done.
It was, we're going to go in, kick ass, and get revenge for 9/11. There's no.
No, if it was just that, cool, no problem. All right, let's go grab these guys, and then once we're done, once we get them, we're out of there. As we saw, that was not the case.
I mean, we've done that before. If World War II was an indicator,
we're going to go and drag it into the Western style 21st century, kicking and screaming, and that definitely did not work. Because at that point, you're fighting against an entire culture that does not want to be assimilated.
Well, not only that, but by then our politicians had moved on to Iraq, and so it was, oh, well, yeah, we kind of have a responsibility, so we're going to keep troops there, but we're not going to actually like rebuild it.
Yeah.
We'll give them lots of money, but we're not actually going to like be in there rebuilding them. Anyways,
so much mismanagement.
Back to the show. First off, everyone, welcome to episode 36 of Cast in Shadows. And so this week we have Star Citizen. We've got some Amazon stuff, the Nexus Mod situation, and Twitch news. But obviously, let's start off with Star Citizen as always. So we had ISC last week. Keep saying this.
This week, last week, it all runs together. Everything floats down here.
And it was a pretty good ISC, I think, right?
PvP? I like getting creative.
Overall.
They're just talking about their new jump town and PvP stuff.
Community. I personally find
I just want to go on record as saying I think they in my mind, I'm not saying what they're creating isn't like good for the game, but I think they missed the mark on
on Jump Town. The whole point of
Did you hear the video? Because what they were saying was, and I kind of get where they're coming from with it. Of that, we're gonna go and essentially just recreate it to where it's really profitable. Thus, people want to go and do it. Just we're not gonna go and let that run forever. We're gonna have it run in short intervals, and then that's it.
Event based versus just there.
To me, it's not even.
That's a pretty good idea.
That's not the issue that I have with it. It's that their understanding of what created Jumptown, I think, is wrong. Like,
you don't think it was mostly about the money?
I think it was, but the way that it was, the way that it happened. In other words, the way they're kind of doing it is like, oh yeah, no, we'll just move the site around and there will be windows of opportunity. And like I said, what they're creating, I'm not against. Like, I think let's do that. Like, but I think they're thinking that they're creating Jumptown is the part that I'm saying is wrong. Because to me, what made Jumptown successful was, number one, you couldn't quantum jump to it.
Yeah.
So you had to. There was a window, a zone that you had to actually fly to, and that gave opportunity. Now, granted, that's where that opportunity to make money, yes, that was there, and that was critical to creating that environment. But they missed the point that you need a zone that you can't just jump in and out of, that you actually have to, like, okay, while I'm around this moon, I can't quantum out of here. I will have to travel so many miles, before I can engage my quantum drive, kind of a thing. And Jumptown was actually successful because you could actually jump out, but you couldn't jump in. And that's what created that zone that people are like, yeah, we can actually set up control of this zone because we'll be able to see people coming in. And that's where that interrogation process started and all that. So
I agree with that.
I'm not saying what they're doing is bad. I'm just saying I think the creators of it misunderstood why the players liked that original Jumptown environment so much. That's all I was getting.
Maybe.
I'm all for them. Like, let's have more type stuff, you know, where unique things are going down at different times. I'm all for that. I'm not against that in any way, shape, or form. I'm stepping down off my box.
All right,
Yeah.
then-
So, and did we mentioned the free fly already, right?
We have not
Yeah.
yet. So the free
Okay.
fly, for anyone who doesn't know, there is going to be an Alpha 3.14 free fly event starting Wednesday, August 18th.
So that would be in 2 days from now.
Yep, and pretty much what that means is anyone that has an account, you don't have to have the game, just an account on the RSI website will be able to
And what you
download
need
and
for
play
that
the
is
game
a-
for
is an
free.
email address.
When does it end?
We don't know.
Yeah, okay, well,
Probably
It's
be,
the-
about-
it's
probably
usually a
be
week.
like Sunday or Monday.
yeah, it's usually really that short. Usually they're around a week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually they
it's-
run a full week.
It's probably going to be like 7 to 10 days, probably, but at this point we do not know. I can pretty much guarantee that it would run through the weekend, just because these things normally
Yeah.
do. Beyond that, couldn't really say.
Man, I don't know if that's a good thing right now, though. Just
What, a
with
free
all the
fly?
crashes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
might have been good to push it a couple weeks until they could maybe get 1 or 2 more patches out. Hopefully.
It might give me reason to play Star Marine again. Everyone's in the free fly, meanwhile I'm just like screwing around in Star Marine because hey, look, it works all of a sudden.
Does it though?
You know,
I
at
don't know,
some
I'm
point, we really
hoping.
should try doing not Star Marine, the other one, Arena Commander together.
Yeah,
See how
they
that
got some
plays.
updates coming.
Is the new one in that they were talking about, or
No,
is that
not yet.
Not yet.
gotcha?
No, they're coming. In 3.15, right?
But I don't think we've ever done that as an org.
Well, it was kind of too small of a zone. I mean, unless you're just running through one of the scenarios, but to actually like free fly.
Well, not
It
free
just-
fly, like do the Pirate Swarm or the Vandal.
Oh,
No, I
we
think
used to do that.
we used to. All of us actually, because I remember Callsign and I would do the races for kicks and kind of improve
Well,
our
we
flight,
even made it
improve our
through a
flight
couple of
abilities
the,
that didn't exist.
Couple of the Vandal swarms. I
Yeah.
remember being surprised that we actually. There's only like 3 of us, and we made it all the way to the end.
Yep.
And this is back when like weapons
Yeah,
were
because
bad. And,
this was before I had the Cutlass Black, and
Yeah,
I was
it's been
just
a long time.
flying around the stupid 85X. Like, oh look, I'm doing combat in this stupid luxury shuttle.
yeah.
Could possibly go
But
wrong.
no, I think it'll be a good training tool for almost any org in the future.
I've had a lot of on the Spectrum, the guide system that they have. I've been getting a lot of new player requests just this week. Just yesterday alone, I had 5.
Nice.
Wow.
So,
I
and
honestly
two of them,
haven't
two of them, I
gotten
got into the Discord. I got another 2 today.
Well, the
So-
one really big thing that I see the training side for Arena Arcade being awesome is when you can bring in like an 890 jump, and then an org can actually like train.
Practice security detail type.
Yeah. And you're not out in the PU where, you know, some random joker just shows up and causes
Yeah,
problems.
speaking of which, by the way, on screen right now from Inside Star Citizen last Thursday, they're showing off the new Broken Moon or Dying Star, right?
I think
Whichever
I think
whichever
they
one
show
is
both of them.
whichever one was red eye cancer versus blue eye cancer, as we used to refer to them as. But both maps in Arena Commander are getting completely reworked. See them on screen, it just looks great. I mean, the old maps looked really good too, but the new ones they use all the current technology in the game, and it's going to be a bit more of a accurate representation of what the game. Like when you go
Yeah.
to these types of worlds that are being terraformed or have, a dying star, as the map is called, stuff like that.
Terraformed. Emphasis on terror.
What I perked up on is he said the map was going to be 10 times bigger, like
Yeah.
the actual arena. And that's
Yeah,
when I was like,
around
ooh,
it.
that'll be
Oh, yeah.
useful.
Yeah, the maps were really small. The original, the current Arena Commander maps. Because like you're going at like say full speed, right? Like you're trying to outmaneuver
I couldn't even
missiles
get up
or
to full speed in some ships
because
without crashing into the other side.
yeah, you go into the little hexagon wall and then you just de-resolution, right? Like
Yep.
Tron, de-res and die.
Ready Player 2.
Respawn 3, 2, 1. You do the same thing again because you couldn't turn in time or whatever because the map is so small. Like most of the deaths I've had in Arena Commander aren't from ship, or aside from enemy ship destroying me. It's not like crashing into an asteroid or something. It's mostly I couldn't turn away from the invisible wall in time, and I passed through the hexagonal level barrier and then force respawn because I left the area, the play area. I left the AO.
Well, why'd you do it?
Yeah, I remember getting once you kind of knew how the thing worked, it was really easy to get like Vandal or pirates to
fly into
over
them,
towards it, and then they just kill themselves trying to attack you. But anyways, yeah, I think it'll be a really
new
good,
maps look
tool.
really, really good. Like they still capture they have the same color palette as the original maps. They still have the same purpose, and even use the terraforming stations are still there. But now there's a bit more, like they're importing some of the PU tech into there. They got some of the asteroids and the new tech there. Obviously the new planetary tech. I doubt you can actually fly down to the surfaces though, like of that Broken Moon map where you have the terraforming. I doubt you'll be able to actually fly to the surface, though that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
And hopefully
if those
Commander
those platforms that you're showing right now actually had like some internal structure, so orgs could go in there and practice, like room clearing and securing it.
But
like
then again, that's what
station.
Star Marine is for that, I guess. Because Arena Commander is like the whole ship combat only thing, and then Star Marine is the FPS only thing, and then the PU is the entire game. Like it's all of it.
So what we really wouldn't see it until they go and implement Theaters of War.
Theaters of War, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I guess in theory you could do like room clearing type operations in Star Marine right now. And it's not like we haven't done that. It's just Star Marine.
Right,
it's not even that it doesn't work. It's just some patches it does, some patches it doesn't.
All I was getting at is Star Marine is just internal, whereas if you had a few of those structures that you're showing,
like where
that had internals in Arena Commander, then you could actually do full training of
you have to land at the station.
Here's how we're going to offload. Here's how we're going to cover the offload. Here's how we're going to actually, go inside the station. Like it would enable you that full immersion of training,
which is pretty much what Theaters of War is. It's gonna be that multi-stage type, like you get to do the full op type thing.
Yeah, but the problem with Theaters of War is it's like you're not going to be doing training in the sense of like, hey guys, here's the scenario,
you already have a preset op and everything like that.
Theaters of War is going to have objectives and timers going, and flags to capture.
And they might let us do like, hey, here's the map, but you aren't actually in a servered game with other people. Like you might be able to do like private matches.
That'd be cool.
Like that.
Yeah, if you could do private matches in theater, that'd be cool.
I mean, you can do that. You can do that right now in Star Marine.
Well, yeah, in Star Marine and Arena Commander you can, but we don't know if that will necessarily be the case.
But it's also limited to that only the inside. You can't bring ships in, and you can't use vehicles.
No, but what I meant is that you can do that now. So in theory, going on what we can do right now, we should be able to have hopefully private matches in
right, but you can't do what I'm talking about, which is the like all-encompassing training. In other words, like a Star Marine will only let you do the internal room clearing. But then if you're going to do any kind of ship or vehicle stuff, then you're going to have to go over to Arena Commander. And then you can't do vehicles, you can only do the ships. Like it'd be awesome to have an arena that let you do all aspects of training is all I'm getting at.
Well, maybe we can get like a new map that has like a mix of both or something. Or a new, I don't know.
A new something or other?
I mean, at the
Or
same
just
time,
put
like
interiors into those little
I
stations.
agree. It just at the same time, we want them to finish the PU first.
Yeah.
or get more things more along.
You get nothing.
To see things go more along in the PU. So.
Hey, I'm just saying, Arena
And it's not like
Commander
you
and
can't do
Starmine
that in
are
the PU.
supposed
You
to
can
be
easily do that in the
your
PU, no
training
problem.
Simulators, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying though, that's true. They're the little pods that you sit in. But
Yep.
you can do all that stuff in the PU right now, especially right now where before medical's in, where you have the ICU beds are just mobile spawn points.
I'm immersed right now. I don't know what you mean by the PU, man.
Yeah.
This is my world. Anywho. But yeah, Arena Commander, what they're working on looks pretty cool.
Agreed. And yeah, the free fly. We should probably show people how to actually create an account if they don't know already.
Well, I mean, if you can't figure it out, maybe you shouldn't be playing. Just trying to clear the airspace a little bit. The space lanes.
What did the airspace ever do to you?
Well, anyway, if you want to create an account, just you have the stream like the one we're streaming right now. Go to the description. You have here, instead of becoming Star Citizen, got link to creating an account. All of our codes are here. Go to the link. It should take you to this page. Create your account. Make sure you have the code here. Use either one of the 4 codes here. But you have to enter it only when you're creating an account. If you do it, you can't do it after you create the account. You can only do it when you're creating it, and that's when it'll take effect. But once you create an account, you should be able to have an account and play the free Star Citizen during the free fly event.
And a thing to note is your account name can be anything you want. Don't recommend that you make your account name and the name that you'll be asked to use in the verse the same thing.
Well, they got rid of
those separate.
Right. So your in-game name has to be URL friendly.
Well, just for account purposes, security in general, you don't want.
Oh, right. Well, that too. Although I think now they just ask for an email. I don't think they ask for account name. At least it doesn't look like they do. Yeah, they just ask, okay, account name, call sign, and email. Yeah, so I guess it's going to be the same. Unfortunately, because just when you go to the account creation page right now, it's not the old one where it used to have your in-game name, your community moniker, your sign-in name, and then...
Yeah, I think it now asks for your in-game name later on in the process, not at the initial account making. That's all I was getting at, is don't worry about it. When you're just creating a base account, don't worry about where it says call sign, because I know a lot of people will see that and think like, oh, that's what I want to be called in the game. That's not actually what that is. That's like your account, and you probably want to make that a separate name from what you will be called in the verse, which they'll ask you later on.
Well, anything else Star Citizen wise?
Didn't they also do the what was the Thursday show?
No, that was the Thursday show. The Star Citizen Live, you mean?
Oh, so then Friday was the
Life QA?
Yeah, the QA.
I didn't watch that yet, so what did they do?
Basically got some QA people to sit around and talk about what they do as QA, which I think was good. But again, this is another example of, they're taking one of their major shows, and it's a behind the scenes of the people and not information about, what's going on in the game.
Yeah, it's like we want to see more game development.
Yeah.
like who
I
is
mean,
working
but
at CIG.
QA is an essential part of game development.
But to say, I wouldn't say that having QA guys is a bad thing. To be on a stream.
It's just that if they want to show off the QA guys or other employees, sure, go and make a show about that. But as it is, we should not be getting that as part of Inside Star Citizen because it's.
It wasn't Inside Star Citizen. It was Star Citizen Live.
Yeah, Star Citizen Live.
It was Star Citizen Live, not Inside Star Citizen.
Technology and people.
So what I was referring to, this was something that we had kind of talked about. I believe it was last week or possibly the week before. Was just, again, we're getting less and less about the game, and to me, these bios, I'm all for them. I'm not against them. I want them to do that because I want the people behind the scenes to. I think it's good for the people behind the scenes to be recognized for what they do, and I think if for some of us people sitting on couches, it's informative of like what people do and how they're involved in the industry, blah blah. That's all good, but again, we're getting less and less information about the game that they say they're supposed to be providing. And if Thursday is it, like that, to me, that's not enough because we're only getting like 5 to 10 minutes of actual tech, update on a Thursday, and then you're spending an hour on Friday, basically BSing. Where is our content that you've been getting subscriber money for?
Also, for anyone who doesn't know,
you're going to be doing.
For anyone who doesn't know, so every Thursday we have Inside Star Citizen, which is the Star Citizen's Thursday show where they spend 15 minutes talking about new gameplay features, upcoming patches, and all that sort of stuff. And then Star Citizen Live is the Friday show, which they stream live to Twitch every Friday at 12 Pacific time,
something like that,
and then eventually upload to YouTube. And usually they're talking about really anything. Compared to Star Citizen Live is usually Inside Star Citizen. Is consistently future game stuff, whereas Star Citizen Live is more like talking with devs and talking about future patches and features, or just talking about like ship commercials and stuff like the marketing stuff. Really could be anything.
But I would say that they've definitely been more tech related in the past, as in like let's create a creature, like let's watch somebody create a creature. Or let's create and let's get what's his name, Leon, and let's have him create a uniform and show him how he's used. Like, in other words, showing more of the tech. Whereas the last few episodes have just been like, basically somebody just sitting there talking about what they do, not actually showing it.
I mean, that's been the last few episodes, which is why I haven't really watched.
That's my whole point. Is like. All I'm getting at is, you remember way back when we used to have a Tuesday show that was like, we're going to talk to people just, about like what they're up to. And they did away with that. This was, years ago, like 5 years ago. But now they're still collecting subscriber money, but we've got less and less show.
No, I agree.
That's all. That's my frustration.
And we went on this last week for anyone that's missed. So I'm just saying that so this way we don't repeat the entire discussion again.
Yeah.
But if we don't have anything other Star Citizen news related, then we can move on to. You want to do Amazon first or Twitch?
Well, one thing I do want to throw in before you move that I actually did think was informative was that they just touched on it barely, and I thought they could have spent a lot more time on, was they were really describing what QA does behind the scenes, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, and that people think, oh, somebody's QA, that means they log on and start playing the game and just reporting errors, and it turns out that that's not what they're doing. It's like they're given a little piece and they're like, okay, you're going to go to, this outpost in this ship, and you're going to get in and out of the seat and in and out of the ship 5 times, and then check that box whether it's good or not. And then they've got like a list of like, the 25 things that they're going to do for the day. and that's all they're doing. So they're not going through that whole process of waking up in the hab, putting on their helmet, going down to, you know, retrieve a ship, blah, blah. So that's why I think a lot of us think, like, where the F is QA? You know, why aren't they catching all these problems? And it's because QA doesn't actually play the same way that we play. I thought that was interesting. I'm done.
Yeah, the steps that they take to test things are very specific because they don't have, well, they don't want to spend, 90% of their day traveling.
Yeah.
So they use teleports and that kind of thing to get where they need to go to test what they need to test.
Yep.
Their testing is more specific, where ours is more
Right.
broad. Keep in mind,
It'd be
this
awesome
is not.
if they had, like,
I have to point out, this is not a finished game. This is still an alpha, and we are just glorified testers. That is, you know,
Yeah,
we
where's our
crowdfunded.
paycheck, damn
We
it?
helped crowdfund a game that we're testing now. That's, at the end of the day, that's what this is.
My job is I pay somebody to be their QA.
I don't look at it as we are glorified testers. We are given the privilege to play the game before it's released, is the way I look at it.
I think it's I'm
I
in
think
the middle.
both are
I think
correct. I
think
agree. We are privileged
glorified
to play
testers,
this.
but I also think that it is a privilege to do it. It's
Yeah.
a new way of doing it for, you know, the business that I'm all for, because let's face it, like, we're going to have a better product because of the things that we've said we really don't like as a whole community, instead of them coming out with a final finished product and going, here it is, guys, what do you think? And we're like, oh man, this is great, but that is bad, which is what you see in other AAA games.
Especially the other space-related ones.
Yeah.
That everyone keeps comparing Star Citizen to, like Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky.
Well, come on, Elite Dangerous with No Man's Sky have never been bad. Never, ever.
I will say, for the
This is
record, the
bad
reason
comedy.
I'm here is because of No Man's Sky. Yeah. Not to say I didn't enjoy it, but it was so shallow when it first came out that I was like, I'll try it. And I played it for probably, I got, 60, 80 hours out of it. And that part I enjoyed, but once
Most
I
of
had
that just being
improved
mining
everything
in
that
that
I
game.
wanted, I was just like, there's nothing else really here. And of course, this was before all the releases. This was like the first few months that it was out.
Yeah.
Now there's just so much more content. But at that time, I was bored, and that's when I was like, I need to find something else. And hey, what's Star Citizen?
And then you met me, and then your life became.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And now look where we ended up.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? So if that's it for Star Citizen, one thing I should note is along with a free fly that's starting on Wednesday, we also have the referral program still going with Alpha 3.14. Star Citizen is doing a referral program where if someone uses your referral code, as we mentioned with creating an account earlier, if you create an account, use the referral code in your account creation, you will get an extra 5,000 credits, right? An extra, extra 5,000 credits. And that extra 5,000 credits will, persist. That's going to be permanently to your account, so you'll start with an extra amount of money in game to boot every time you load up. Well, not every time, but like anytime there's a new patch and they do like a patch wipe or whatever. And you'll also get, but with the referral program going on right now, specifically to Alpha 3.14, you will be getting a Drake Dragonfly speeder bike with a unique paint job. Well, I'm trying to find.
I'm just curious. Number one, which ships are going to be in the free fly, and number two, where is the free fly announced? Because I'm looking on their homepage and I'm not seeing it.
The only
that
place that's been
information is out yet.
announced. Yeah, the only
Okay.
place that's been announced so far has been the weekly
This week in Star
schedule.
Citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so here it is. This is the dragonfly with the coal fire scheme, paint scheme. Let's say skin and scheme. So you got the great dragonfly there. It looks nice. This is pretty much it. And it runs until August 31st, so you got half a month. And this only works if you're creating an account and use a code when you're creating an account. You can't do this post account creation. And when you do this, you get a bike and the person's whose code you used bike.
Oh, and one other thing for anyone who actually does do it, when you finally get in the game and you're trying to figure things out, get your chat window open, and you'll find that the community is extremely helpful if you just start asking questions in the chat.
Yep.
This community is unlike any other MMO community I've ever encountered, where people are extremely helpful, will loan you ships for free, just if you express interest in checking them out, and some people even give you free money.
No, I've literally seen people where it's like, hey, I'm saving up for an Avenger Titan. Hey, here's 1.2 million. Knock yourself out.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Now you can buy 2 Avenger Titans.
Yeah, it's extremely common.
Yep.
So all I'm saying
and that's the thing is, look, I've been helping. Well, I said 5 as of yesterday. Just yesterday alone, I've helped 5 different citizens with the Spectrum guide thing. Just because they're all new players and they're trying to kind of get their head around the game, and I'm more than happy to help out. So.
Yeah,
I figured, look, I know my way around. Might as well use that knowledge.
So to clarify, so the guide system is where you can actually go and request a player, an actual person. You can match up with them to be like, hey, I want some help in bounty hunting.
But it is not in game. It is on their Spectrum is their forum website.
But then you then friend the person and you join them in game.
Right.
And I was going to say, there's also just people who actually log into the game just to hang out and help people out. Like,
guilty.
They've done it all, and they've made all their money, and they're just kind of hanging out. And if they see somebody start asking lots of questions, they'll probably come over and try and help you.
I've done that out of boredom.
That's not to say there are some idiots
and that's not a bad thing.
Lure you in and kill you, though.
You still have to be careful. But it's kind of like genuinely you can get a feel where it's like, oh yeah, this person's literally like they're telling me good advice and it's working. Yeah. So that's usually a good sign.
And they're not trying to lead me to Grimhex to.
They're not. Their first response isn't, "Hey, come over here, and then I'll tell you everything," and then they shoot you.
Yeah. Usually, if they show up with a ship and they're not asking you to bring a ship to them, they're okay.
Usually, we'll be like, "Okay, where are you? I'll head over and help you out." Or
How
something.
much cargo do you have?
What have you got in your cargo hold?
What are you wearing? Wait a minute, that's the wrong thing.
Yeah, but in general, community's really good. So
it is.
If you're going to try this thing, don't hesitate to start asking questions. It's a good community for that.
So hopefully, for any imaginary viewers, I know we have one guy in the chat. So I already said hey in the chat to him. Xavier Mireless. I probably mispronounced. Apologize. But yeah, aside from the one viewer, if he joins in, cool. We got one person to join.
Well, you never know. Somebody else might listen to it later.
True, that's true. There's always the replay. Keep them up.
Yep. I think you mean the replay.
I mean, if they replay it multiple times, sure.
Anywho.
So yeah, moving on. So we got the let's do the Nexus Mod thing so we can get that out real quick. So, Cam, would you like to take it from here because you're more familiar with it than I am?
Sure. So we'd already talked before a little bit about so Nexus Mod had let's just call it controversy. To where essentially they
it is a controversy.
New thing called collections. That will allow players to download a entire list of mods at once to go and just kind of streamline the process and kind of be like, hey, we've had multiple people test this specific playlist. All these mods work relatively well together, and you won't run into issues where it's like, oh, hey, this mod will go and crash if you do this thing and that other mod, that kind of BS. Mod authors some mod authors have voiced complaints about this, both in terms of how Nexus went and originally communicated it. Apparently, it was communicated badly. But there have been some other things too, like earlier Amanda was noting that with collections, you don't have players going to the individual mod pages to grab the mods. At least by and large, you might have people still going there to either look up comments on, oh, hey, I'm stuck at this one place. Let me see if there's a walkthrough, or see if there's updates, anything like that. But many players might not do that, and if that's the case, those mod authors might miss out on some donations, because a lot of mod authors do have like a donation page up on the mod pages going like, hey, if you like this mod, throw me a few bucks or something. And so there might be some missed revenue there. That being said, I'm of the opinion that the best mods and the best modders, at least in general, in a general broad sense, are the ones who are not doing it specifically to make a buck, but because you're like, hey, I really wanted this feature, or this item, or this thing in the game. It wasn't already existing, so I went and made it, and here you guys go. You can explore it too. The ones who are passionate about the craft and not about how much money they're making from it. Just because from what I've personally seen from the people who are specifically going for, I want money, it's usually been very toxic in how they treat the community.
The same problems with corporations, where if you're making something just for the purpose of making money, it usually doesn't work well.
No, absolutely. But that being said, so many, like we said before, many mod authors have gone and removed their mods from Nexus, and uploaded them on other places, just take them down completely. But that being said, for everything we're seeing, it's here to stay. So if you are looking to go and mod some games such as
Skyrim, Fallout, any of the Fallouts.
Any of the Fallouts, any of the Elder Scrolls games, things like Subnautica, all these kinds of games, Witcher, Witcher 3 and such. Expect to see at some point here in the short-term future, collections of mods that you can grab that'll make installing a whole lot of additional content for the game a lot easier. Just because I can say for myself, because like my Skyrim game, my biggest one had about 550 mods, 550 plugins. We're probably talking about 700, 800 mods, because not all mods have a plugin there. And it was a pain in the ass a lot of times, and tweaking everything, making edits to stuff so that it would play nicely, that kind of thing. So if there's things I can streamline that, it'll definitely be a boost overall.
So Polygon has a really good article regarding this. They talk about how what is Nexus Mod doing. Pretty much after a 30-day grace period that began on July 1st, Nexus Mods will permanently store any mod uploaded to the site, which means they're archiving it and you can't delete it. In this grace period, any user may write to the site's administrators, ask for their work be removed. So if you want to remove something, you have to manually ask them, hey, can you delete the mod from the website?
From what I understood, it was not that you have to do a special process. It was just that you delete your stuff as normal and that's it. From what I understood of it, that might be incorrect, but
I think that was the old system. Now they're saying that you have to ask them to remove something.
Yeah, that might be the case now. Now that we are past that grace period, yes, that might be the case.
Well, to say this began in July 1st, so that was when the grace period started. So we've well past that anyways. August 6th. Yeah, so that request is all or nothing proposition. Either a user asks that all of their content be removed or none of it be removed. So it doesn't work for specific mods, is the problem. After this 30-day grace period, no user may remove or demand their mod's removal from the site from August 1st on all from August 1st, all mods will be archived and accessible through the site's archive system, through their API, even if they are hidden from public view or searched by their creator. So you may not be able to search for them actively, but you still can find them. They're still there. And say you don't want this mod to be available anymore if you're a modder, whether it's made a second version of it that's better, or you realize something's broken, or you added something, I don't know what it is, it's old, or you just don't want to be out there. You can't move it. You can't move it now.
Updates are already on the individual mod page. So I frequent Nexus Mods a lot. Let's say, for example, hey, here's version 1. Shit, after a couple hundred people went and tested it out, there's this game-breaking bug in version 1. Fuck, okay. Instead of going, I'm going to make a whole new mod page, I have to go and get all my screenshots back up there, write out my whole description. Instead of doing any of that, you can upload it in the same mod page, and it just goes, here's old versions of the file, here's the latest version of the file. So it already does stuff like that. It already does that. Just none.
Right, but for some, that's true actually. But a lot of Master Chief Collection mods, they have to remake the entire mod.
Where a mod page itself gets abandoned and the modder is still active is either one, they're like, hey, I'm not supporting this mod anymore, which, okay, hey, that's their choice. But if you do a complete rewrite of a mod, then sometimes, usually it's still just, here's the old versions, here's the new version. But sometimes the mod author will be like, hey, here's, I've expanded the scope of the mod, I've rewritten parts of it, so I'm just going to make a whole new mod page for it and just kind of say, hey, on the old mod page, be like, hey, this is a deprecated mod, here's the new version that I've completely rewritten, it has all these additional features, go take a look at that one, unless you don't want that one for whatever reason, in which case, here's the old one still. But
so why is Nexus? They say why is Nexus Mods doing this? Since 2019, the site's managers have been developing a feature that they call collections, which, as you said, is pretty much a collection of mods that work together, not crash the game. And the thing why this that's a problem, or why there's a controversy. I shouldn't say it's a problem, because it really just is a controversy. And that is because the collections don't. Only what Nexus Mods is profiting from collections, whereas donation points and stuff like that doesn't apply to them. They only apply to individual mod downloads, not the collection downloads.
I don't know though if profit is the right word, just because it's the
only maybe it's not, but that's
in general is
still
ad
what
revenue
it is
and people who donate money to them. All they get out. It's not like hey, I want to get this collection. Oh, it's $3.99. There's nothing like that. But that being said, now one thing I will note though, and I do think this would be definitely a larger complaint. If I download a collection, and let's say it's the Skyrim Ultimate Collection, it's got 400 specially curated mods that all work together. It adds all this content, all this great stuff. Cool. I play it and I love it and it's great. I'm never going to really know, unless I really dig into the documentation and stuff. I'm never going to really know who did what, or what mod did this thing or that thing, or added this item or that item. I won't really know that, because I didn't go through, when I've gone and modded my Skyrim or Fallout or whatever else. I go to the mod page, I browse through the pictures, and I see, okay, what is this thing? I read through the description. I have a general idea of what this mod is adding. And so then when I'm like, oh, hey, wow, that was a really cool boss fight from this one quest, I have a general idea of what mod added that. Or, hey, this is a really great redesign or addition to the city of whatever. Man, I know exactly what mod did that. But with these collections, you won't necessarily know that. You're just going to see it as a conglomerate whole, and not as individual pieces of work that are meshing together to form this heavily modded game you're now playing. So that would definitely be a thing, because it's, you might have, like I said, some city overhaul, and a lot of people might not know, hey, this was such and such mod author that went and made this. They might not ever know that. They might just identify it as, oh yeah, that's that one city mod in the collections thing. Yeah, it's really cool. I like it.
I gotta agree with Cam on that one, because like coming from the Arma side, like using lots of different mods, and you start to know like really good mods, and then you start looking into like, oh, that mod was created by this person, and then when you see other things that they put out, you're
like,
attracted
let me
to
grab
those
that.
because you know that they're putting out good product.
Yeah.
And
No,
if
absolutely.
you were to take that away, that's going to interfere with that individual's, being able to say, look, I've created,
with their
like, say
recognition.
he's going to go get a job.
Yeah,
And he's
no,
gone, I've
recognition
created
alone,
this
let
many
alone
mods, and look at how many people have downloaded these mods consistently, but good work. Like, you're taking that away from them. So that aspect I can definitely see.
One thing Nexus could do, and I don't know if it will be the case, as far as I'm aware, there's no collections that I've seen that are active at this point. So they might do something like this, but it would be interesting to see a credit section. I wouldn't necessarily want to see it like, hey, before you download, go and look through each of the mod authors here, and you have to like scroll through this and go, yeah, thanks, I just want to get to my download here. But it would be good for them to have a section that would go, hey, all the cities you've seen, that was by this guy. This is, look at this guy. He's doing great work. Hey, all those cool weapons, some of them are made by this person. Some of them are made by this person. It's something like that that would kind of go and break down, hey, in this mod pack, here's what this person did, here's what this person did. And so you have an idea of who did what. And if you're like, hey, I really love these cities, they're absolutely amazing, I want to see what else this guy did, you would know where to look. But that would still require you to actively, because again, I wouldn't want some kind of a pop-up, because that would just be annoying. But that would require you, the player, to dig into it to find this information out.
Well, I would hope if they are the ones that are curating the collection that they would give credit to the individuals.
Oh, I guarantee there will be a credit section, but it would depend how accessible it is. So, like for instance, if it's in just a README text file that gets downloaded with all the rest, who's really gonna read that? No one reads the freaking README. No one reads the manual. So that would probably not be great, but it'd be cool if through whatever interface they have to view the collections, if there would be like a tab for credits or mod authors, something like that, and then you would be able to just see, like I said, hey, this mod author did these cities, and here's the separate mod page for that. This mod author did this weapon pack, and here's the mod page. So you can actually see that, view the mod pages. Because also too, if you're like, hey, something isn't working right, or I have a question on something, you want to figure out where is the mod page, so I can go and put a comment on there and kind of go, hey, has anyone encountered this? Does anyone know the answer to this? Does anyone know how this works? That kind of stuff. I've seen that plenty of times, and I've put comments on there myself where I'm like, hey, I don't know how this works. Can someone go and walk me through that? Or hey, can the mod author, if they're around here, can you go and drop a hint or something like that? And I've gotten help plenty of times in the comment section, or workarounds, or oh yeah, I had that error too. You just got to do this other thing, and then it will work. Ah, sweet, cool. So they definitely need to make it accessible, just not in your face, in my opinion.
No, and I agree. It's all about accessibility is really the main thing when you're doing a website and stuff like that, and shopping. Like, how it's not just how accessible it is, but how does it look? Like, is it easy to read? Is it easy to? What's your UI design like?
With the collections, that on the note of like donations and monetization and accreditation and stuff, that one based on, because there are things like individual download stats that get tracked, endorsements for mods. That's essentially like people going, hey, I downloaded this mod, I played it, I came back to the mod page, and I'm saying this is a good mod, I'm endorsing it. And you have to actually wait an hour, I think, after you download it to be able to endorse it. It would be cool if there was, for collections as a whole, that any downloads of the collection counts as individual downloads for each of the mods. If you endorse the collection, then it will let you just endorse all the mods at once. You can do it individually, of course, as well, but it'd be cool if there was just a one-stop shop button for that. They should make a nice donate button readily available, and that'll link to each of the mod authors. You can go, hey, I want to donate to all equally. I want to go and donate just to one or a number of them, and then show something again that breaks down. This mod author made this thing. This mod author made this thing. So you can go and actually see, hey, this one mod author, maybe they made the cities and they made this one house and they made this one follower. And so you would see for each mod author, each of the mods they did in that mod pack, and you could choose on an individual or collective level how much or where you want to donate. That would probably help with that.
I agree, but I think that's a lot of effort for
absolutely
a little bit of return, which makes me think that Nexus themselves are probably not going to be interested in doing that.
Have Nexus debuted any of the information about how this is going to work, or
they have?
No, we have they?
How their new system's going to work?
They said that they're going to be curations, but have they talked about how how you're going to download it, any of the information behind it, other than, hey, this is what we're working on?
No, they haven't said anything like that. I thought you meant the actual changes
how it's
they're
making
making
packaged, how it's going to be presented.
No, as far as I'm aware, we don't
know. It could have all these features that we're talking about, or it could have none of them.
No, we have no idea.
We do not know.
We do not know right now.
But also the main
this
point
is
of
imagination land, man. Come on.
The main point of the controversy too is that there's a lack of control, and that's why everyone's kind of losing their minds about it, and understandably so, because it's kind of like, okay, if your thing is out there, and now it's like, for instance, okay, if you're, say, one of the arguments I've heard is if you're making if you have a YouTube video and then someone uses your video in part of a playlist, yes, someone else is making a playlist using your videos or using a video, but at the end of the day, you can still choose whether you want to delete that video or change it to unlisted or private. Did you create
that video wanting people to use it in their game, in their background?
Yeah, that's
which is what the mod is designed to do.
You're making this content specifically because it's like you can make any number of mods and keep it for personal use. So you were specifically putting it out there for the public to download and use, and then it's like you're then pissed that the public has unrestricted access to in the future, continue to download it. And I don't get that part of the controversy, and I feel like it's
I made this thing for people to use, and now I'm mad that they're using it.
Exactly. It's like you put it out on the internet, and it was like if it was something like, for example, if it was something like, hey, I put it out just on my Discord server. It's just for people on my Discord server, and then someone went and grabbed it and uploaded it somewhere else, and even if they don't even claim it as theirs, that would be one thing. That you're grabbing someone else's work, you are redistributing it without their permission, but you are putting it up on the Nexus in the first place for people to download. And then you're ticked off that people in the future will be able to download it. If you decide to remove it, you already put it out there. It's on the internet. Like, don't you ever remember your parents saying, if you put it on the internet, it's there forever? So come on, stop. So stop putting those pictures of yourself on the internet, people. Come on.
I
agree with Data Machine, though, that we don't know anything, but then I also would point the finger at Nexus for doing a bad job of explaining what they're doing. I think
it's a double-edged sword here. You got I think it's an overreaction, but at the same time, Nexus Mods is not good at communication here, and they can use some tweaking to how the thing works. Totally.
Yeah, we still don't know how it will work. So
but what we do know is not exactly great.
Based on the system that I've heard so far, there are some legitimate complaints about controlling the content that you upload. However, since they have an agreement there, anyone who doesn't want their content controlled that way can remove it.
Well, they could up until the 3rd.
Okay, well, I mean, but the notice went out, right? So you had the option. If you choose to stay, then you don't really have anything to complain about because it's your choice. It might suck for some people because it's changing, but I mean, that's the nature of things. They're going to change.
Yeah, and honestly, I see it just overall, the at least the idea of it, I see it as a much easier way for people to get into modding, just because as it is, like, I've been hanging around the Nexus website for over 10 years now. I'm old. And just the number of times I see people, hey, my game is crashing on startup. What's going on? Oh, well, do you have a missing master file on your Skyrim or your Fallout? What's that?
Yeah.
Well, that's when you have mod B that requires mod A, but you don't have mod A. Game tries to load it, can't figure out where the file is, crashes the desktop. Oh, well, I don't know. Well, and then you go and you find out, well, they downloaded a patch for a mod, but they didn't have the base mod itself. They just grabbed the patch. And now the game's crashing. It's like, okay, well, either grab the mod or uninstall the patch. But the fact that, people are just grabbing this stuff without knowing what they're doing, there very much is a learning curve to figuring out what you're doing in modding and making it to the point where you can kind of just, at least initially, you click a button and you're pretty much done. Maybe there's a little bit of other setup there, but by and large, streamlining that process, it's only going to get more people into it. And you're going to still have a bunch of idiots who probably won't ask any questions and will screw stuff up or whatever else. But you're going to have more people going, hey, this is really cool. I want to add more stuff to this. Oh, no, I added more stuff. Now it's crashing. Okay, well, how do I fix that? And they just kind of dig deeper and deeper and deeper.
The idea behind what Nexus is trying to do for the end user is a 100% bonus.
Yeah, I agree.
I've dealt with some Oblivion mods, and
yeah,
when you get into the nitty gritties of having like 10 different mods conflicting with each other, but that's in a pool of like 70 mods and trying to figure out, that's. Ugh.
Oh yeah, like I've spent me alone. I've spent hundreds of hours in Xedit or the Creation Kit, just going and working out mod conflicts and trying to figure out why am I crashing in this one spot. Because also too, for those who don't know, with Bethesda games, if you encounter some kind of a fatal error in the game, you don't generally get any kind of an error log. Like, if you crash in Minecraft, you can go and pop open the error log and go, oh, it said I crashed because of this script or this thing or this block, and figure out, okay, is this a known issue? What can I do to fix it? Do I just have to remove that mod? It gives you a place to start. Bethesda games, nah, you got nothing. You have no idea why this crashed. It literally just crashed the desktop. There's no log. You have no idea what happened. Was it a bug that NPC? Was it something spawning into an inventory that shouldn't have, or spawning in 1,000 times because of a typo? You have no idea.
Hey,
it makes it a pain.
The one thing you do get with Bethesda games is a corrupt save file. That they give you that for free.
Yeah. I love Bethesda games, but just please give me a damn error log.
Dude, this is why I like Arma, because if Arma crashes, it actually it not only shows you the code on screen that's bad, but it even tells you which file it's in and what line number it's on.
That's nice. Like stuff like that. That's nice. I really hope moving forward Bethesda could do something like that.
Good, keep pushing.
That the only other thing I would want, if I could make any change, remove the darn 256 plugin limit. We're beyond 32-bit by now. Sorry, rant over.
You sound like a heroin addict demanding bigger needles.
Yes. Okay.
I want my 12 gauge, damn it.
Look, my Fallout 4 only has 752 mods right now.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, 12 gauge needle is pretty much like the size of a child's forearm.
Oh, have 12 gauge shotgun shell?
Yeah, it's pretty much that.
Sounds like Cam has 4 of them tied together. But anyways,
look, I decide to kill raiders is my own business.
The one thing I will say is that I think the modding community is kind of like a lot of other things out there, especially when it comes to hobbyist type things, which is this is Nexus kind of stepping in, and like Data and Kim were saying, I think the benefits to the user are going to be great, but at the same time, I think the long term, this is going to dumb down the users, like Cam was saying, to not knowing what actually is going on inside that mod, and eventually you're going to have people just going, "Oh, that was a bad mod," and chucking it, and it's
when it's actually
unfortunate.
like because you're using this mod and that mod and something, or you're
gonna
overloading
have a
your
whole lot of
game with
people.
1,700 mods or whatever it is.
Well, you're
Well,
gonna have
not
a whole
only
lot of
that,
people
but
like,
how does the modder get feedback that
Yeah,
his
no,
specific
absolutely.
part of it is causing a problem?
Well,
But you're
if
gonna
it's
have
in the
people who go and
collection, I'm assuming that the Nexus mod would be doing that. They're collecting mods that they are known to work well together and putting them in a package. So that
That would be
Yeah,
the
but
idea behind it, but we
you
don't
don't
know.
know.
who's actually, when they say they are known to work, does that mean they look at like, oh well, look at these ones, they got the most downloads, so that means everyone likes them, let's use them?
No,
Or are they actually
I can
going in
guarantee it would
and
not be that.
doing?
I can guarantee it would not be that.
Okay.
So, like, just having been in the modding community for a while, I can guarantee they won't just be like, we're just going to grab the ones with the top downloads, throw them in there, and call it good. No, they're going to play test this. I can guarantee. Now, how
Okay.
many people play test that on what equipment? That it might be that, hey, this mod pack one's great if you have a 3080 and 32 gigs of RAM, but if you've got a 970 and you've got 8 gigs of RAM, your computer's going to fucking melt.
Yeah.
That's entirely possible.
I'm not big on Nexus or Bethesda. I'm coming from the Arma and Steam community, where you'll see like the latest popular thing that everyone's into will have a bunch of downloads, but then it'll still only have like 1 or 2 stars because people download it, realize it's crappy, and so if all you're doing is going
there's
off
also
the
a
download
difference
numbers.
between there's downloads, there's unique downloads.
Yeah.
So if you have one person download it 500 times, that's going to show 500 downloads, but it's only going to show one unique download to that. And then you also have endorsements, which is, like I said, where people go back to the mod page after they've downloaded the mod, after they've waited, I think the timer on it's like an hour or so, and specifically click the endorse button going, hey, yeah, this was a good mod. So you have to proactively say, yeah, I want to endorse this. And so generally speaking, for anyone who wants to get into modding at all from the Nexus site, your best bet to see for your really good mods, now still, read the descriptions, read the comments, read what the mod authors put out there. But if you want to just see some good content, go to a category, so weapons, followers, houses, whatever the case may be, sort by endorsements. What's going to be at the top is going to be your good stuff. Like if you go to like companions, if you see like latest, you're going to see probably like 10 NPCs that have just a basic vanilla. It's just a basic vanilla follower copy pasted, and they made some waifu face on it, and that's it. Those are a dime a dozen. But if you want to find the ones who have a quest attached or have all kinds of interesting dialogue with
new locations and stuff, new characters, stuff like that,
you're going to want to sort by endorsements. Just because those waifu ones, sure, they might have some decent downloads, but you don't have that many people endorsing them. At least from what I've seen.
Another thing that sparked the controversy initially is also the fact that Nexus Mod Premium, right? There's like they got this subscription service or whatever, and they can bypass all of the personal the modder pages entirely.
Can they?
Dude. Essentially, according. So pretty much.
Hold on. What?
Okay, so let me read it. Pretty much, the controversy arose from some steps being taken to pave the way for this new feature, which include letting premium subscribers to the site bypass mod author pages and also prohibiting the authors from deleting their own content. And when it says prohibiting bypassing author pages, it means when you're in the collection feature. Like you just go to a collection and download the mod and all that. You completely bypass it.
They aren't going to go and they aren't going to be like, hey, here's a collection. Okay, hey, now go to each of the individual mod pages and then download the mod from there. That'd be silly.
Right, but now it's saying they can. I mean, I don't know what it means in this context. I've never really used.
I think we might be in a situation where we don't have enough information actually.
Yeah, I would agree with that, just because that doesn't make any sense. But
I don't like. I've used Nexus mods like maybe 5 times or 15 times max. Like I don't use it that often because I use other sites and.
Jeez, Mando. You're missing out on a lot of good content.
Yeah, well, I get my mods from other things and links from like random people. So, like what's face like whenever I'm not doing a lot of Bethesda modding just because I don't have the Bethesda games on my PC. So, I'm not doing Nexus mods a lot. Nexus I use for Master Chief Collection mods and for what's your face mods.
Guy on a street corner.
Cyberpunk.
He looked like a construction worker. He said I should download this one mod.
No, it's more like people. Other YouTube channels like, oh, here's a mod. It's like, okay.
He was selling it for 5 pesos.
Yeah. You think I'm gonna buy a mod? Fuck off. I can't even buy the game. But yeah, it's.
I think we beat this horse.
A little bit. Again, it's a bit fresh. It's too fresh of a story, I think, right now to do anything other than just react to it. There's no real.
We'll return to it once we have more information.
Yeah, well said. But moving on, we do have the Amazon stuff, which here it is.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So Amazon had this really absurd rule that was literally called a draconian rule by one of the employees. For if you worked off hours, like after hours, you're done at work, you're just at home, and you decide to work on a personal project, like a personal game. If you're an Amazon employee, you would have to use Lumberyard, which, apparently a lot of people hate using because it's a pain in the ass. And you would have to, you'd only be able to collaborate with other Amazon employees. And
it's illegal. They can't enforce it.
I mean that's why they dropped the rule. So the story here is
exactly. It's like if it.
But this rule has been in place for a little over a decade.
I'm just worried that they would think in this frame of mind.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, look at corporations in general. They're a bunch of greedy bastards. You got some middle manager. Hey, what if we made a rule that said if you work on any other projects, you have to use our stuff and we get control of it? It's a bunch of freaking idiots in a boardroom who come up with this stupid stuff, and no one has the guts to say, "Hey, you're stupid."
So at the end of the day, pretty much it's whatever that you create, they have control over. Despite this is your own personal project you're doing off of work hours.
Disney's. Because Disney has a thing for those who don't know. Disney has
this is a normal thing among many game companies as well as non-gaming companies, and I know 2K does this as well. Or was it Take-Two? Whatever. 2K, Take-Two, same people.
And it's like, hey, if you guys work on separate projects here, I could see something of like a non-compete kind of thing. But it's like this is Amazon. Come on.
I mean, if one of your coworkers uses your engine to create a game, I see kind of an argument. But where the argument I don't see is saying, oh, if you're going to create something, you have to use my engine. And then I have control of your thing. That's the problem.
It's just like, what? It's like, no, you can't. And they're like, oh, you can only collaborate with other people in the company. No, come on,
no.
Buzz off.
So here's the actual guidelines themselves. They were posted. So the original story here was a software engineer, James Liu. A software engineer at Google shared a piece of Amazon employment contract. A post went viral due to some rules of the company no longer allegedly. Regarding, because this article came out August 7th, it's now 12th, or 16th, I mean, in August 12th, we already had an update saying it's true, and they're changing the rule now. But, essentially, because of this article, Amazon got a lot of feedback that was not good, and, they changed it, but the fact that it is there to begin with is not a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, according to the terms shared by James, an employment not only can create personal games only outside of regular working hours, which is pretty normal, but also has to use Amazon's products and services in the development. Another paragraph reads that you should make your personal game available on all platforms owned by Amazon. For example, if it's a mobile project, it should be submitted to Amazon App Store. An employee also will have to provide feedback on these platforms to help the company improve its products. back in 2018.
No, screw up.
Feels like there's something else going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to.
Well,
like, maybe there was like something to do in the company with people trying to pitch their games, saying they work for Amazon. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
pieces that are
maybe.
missing.
You're not wrong. It does feel like there's missing information here, but even still, it's like it got struck down. So
You gotta let me finish. We just started.
no.
So back in 2018, I got he continued saying he got offered the software development engineer job at Amazon, and he was ready to accept because it paid well, but turned it down because of this rule. And the rule here is, the guidelines right here. To develop and release a personal game, you must read and agree to the following terms prior to beginning any work or continuing any unapproved work. By submitting the trouble ticket link below, you agree to each of the following terms. 1. My personal game will not be based on, conflict with, or disclose Amazon confidential information or current or future business activities. I mean, perfectly reasonable and normal.
Yeah.
2. I will not use or incorporate Amazon resources or information in the development, release, or marketing of my personal game. Again, that's pretty normal. This includes Amazon equipment, network connections, confidential information, know-how, or facilities. 3. All work on my personal game will be performed outside of my regular working hours. Again, makes sense. Your personal game. 4 is Amazon is not responsible for any legal obligations or liability arising from my personal game, which normally that makes sense until you remember that now they're forcing you to use all their stuff for your personal game.
Yeah.
In which case,
Does it say in the contract that they have to do it? Is that written out specifically in the old contract, or is it just someone saying also they said but not showing any evidence?
are you seeing the contract on screen right
Yeah.
No, I'm not looking at that.
Okay, so because number 5 is to help Amazon improve its platform. I will make my personal game available via the Amazon wherever possible. I.e., mobile game, Amazon App Store, PC, and then they go on to list all the different examples, and provide feedback on these platforms where practical. The extent to which Amazon distributes personal game through its platforms remains within Amazon's sole discretion. In other words, Amazon is the one in control once you start releasing your game. To help Amazon improve its products and services, I will use Amazon's publicly available products and services. So it literally kind of contradicts, your personal game will not, number 2 here saying I will not incorporate Amazon resources, yet then number 6 goes on to say that in order to make your personal game, you have to use Amazon.
I feel like there's something we're missing here. I don't know.
I'm not saying it isn't an issue, but I haven't heard where it says you have to use a lumberyard.
So number 7 is pretty much it's all number 7 and 8 here. So I will own my personal game. However, Amazon will not be constrained in its development and games or incur any liabilities by allowing me to develop and release personal games. Accordingly, I hereby grant the following license to Amazon to ensure that Amazon will never be liable to me for any Amazon work on games. I grant to Amazon a royalty-free, worldwide, fully paid-up, perpetual, transferable license to any and all of my intellectual property rights associated with personal game and my personal game development. So in other words, they own your game despite you supposedly owning it.
Yeah,
you share ownership with a game you are making on your own personal time.
But is that only pursuant if you release it on their software?
Yes, but that's because you have to release it on their software according to their guidelines. It's your personal project. Why does it matter? Just because you're an employee shouldn't dictate what you do in your own time. Number 8 says, this agreement provides me with an opportunity for personal development and creative expression, and not a means for competing with Amazon Game Studio. And I think this is that missing information. It's a anti-competition policy.
I think number 6 is the one you're looking for, Data.
Can you link that document in Discord?
There you go. Yeah, it's pretty much like, okay, so you own it, but you don't own it at the same time. Like they're getting royalty.
There's some contradictory shit there.
Yeah, well then again, it's a corporate policy. It's always going to be
Sure.
contradictory. Like the whole, like I don't agree with, like, okay, so you're saying that just because you work for this company, you then have to essentially everything you make, even on your own time, is going to be owned by the company that you work for.
Yeah, I know. That's
like, and notice how all these rules,
if that's what they're saying, then yeah, that's bad. But I think it's like you guys are saying, there's something else going on, and that we don't have.
I think it might just be a simple anti-competition policy where it's like, okay, this way we can get rid of competition from, say, an employee. Like, okay, you're working for Amazon, you're working on one of their games, and you realize, oh, I have an idea for my own game or something, right? And you do that, and this way they're kind of mitigating that by making rules against it, or at least by making rules that favor them monetary wise.
But that seems too broad stroke, like, because essentially what you've got in writing here is that anyone who works for the company that makes a game, you're now controlling, instead of if what you were talking about, Mando, that would be more something like, hey, if you're in our gaming section, we're going to have special clauses because you're dealing with games. That would make sense. But to have just like, hey, we've got an employee who works in a server room, in Nebraska, and if he comes up with a game, we're going to control it. That's not good.
Amazon is not the only company that uses this type of agreement.
No, I already said Take-Two, I think, does it too.
A job in, say, an engineering company or a manufacturing company, and you come up with some kind of, well, they usually have a stipulation in their contract saying that if you try to release any products on your own while you're hired by this company, then part of that that contract or that product is going to be owned by this company. And the reason they do that is because if you, it's this fine line between working at the company gives you an idea, and then you try to use that idea for your own personal gain versus trying to help the company.
I don't disagree with that. All I'm saying is that what seems odd is them saying you have to use if you're an employee, in other words, if you're going to come up with a game, you have to use our engine. And to me, that's the only problem I have. I have no problem with them saying, if you use their engine, then yeah, you should be, having to give them some money. Like, that makes sense. Like, if you use CryEngine, you should have to give CryEngine.
That doesn't make sense.
But yeah, if you're an Amazon employee and you want to go and use CryEngine, you should be allowed to make that decision. That's the only argument I have. Again,
what this sounds like is they're using the same kind of argument that a normal company would use, where if you work for us and you release a product, then we're going to retain some ownership, except they're trying to incentivize people to do it that way and also gain control of it. So we want you to create personal games, but when you do that, we also want a piece of that pie. So that I have a problem with.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I agree. That's my only issue. It's if somebody willingly uses their code, then yeah, I think they should get a piece of it. But if you're not going to use their code and you're doing it off hours from your employment, they shouldn't have a finger on it.
To me, it would make more sense for that contract to read, if you release a game while you're employed with our company, then we are reserved the right to take some ownership of that game.
And it's using our code.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it isn't, because I mean, how do you control intellectual property if, say,
so I work for Amazon, but I make a flight simulator that has nothing to do with any other Amazon product. They should get a piece of that. Why? If I don't use their code and I'm not basing it off a game that they provide, why should they get a piece of that? If I did it off hours in my garage using Microsoft.
How many employees does Amazon have?
Millions, probably.
How many people would it take to have every single bit of software created by their employees vetted to make sure that it doesn't contain any content
They
that was
employ
created by
almost a million
Amazon.
people in the U.S.
So basically, I'm not saying it's the perfect solution, but for a company to be able to cover itself that way, you just have to have a blanket statement. And it's the
Which isn't right
employee's
necessarily,
prerogative to
but
say, well, I would rather go and make this game, so I'm not going to work for you because I don't like the policy that you have. I'm not saying it's a good solution, but I am saying it
it's
is a
a
solution.
solution. And
I
that's
don't
what
think
Amazon
it's a
did.
legal solution. That's my point. Like, I don't think you can. That's like saying, well, if you work for the company, you know, you have to live in the company housing. We're going back to, like, you know, the
What are you
early
talking about? There are
1900s.
companies that have that
I'm
kind of
not going to
stuff.
pay you in legal currency. You're going to get,
Well, they can't
you know,
not pay you
company
in legal
notes,
currency.
and you have to shop at the company store. Like, that was, you know, our court system said that's illegal for a reason. And
but
that's
we're talking
basically what
about
you're doing, but with you.
Well,
with
that's a
talking
bit
about
of an
intellectual
extreme.
property, though.
yeah,
We're not
that's,
talking about slavery here.
but that's my whole point. That's my whole argument. Is I am saying, if you're not it, just because you're an employee of Amazon shouldn't make you have to use their intellectual property if you decide to make a game.
Oh, I'm not
And if you,
arguing that they should have
Yeah.
to use that engine. I was just arguing the
well, you
point
just
that
said if they're an employee and they come up with a game, the company should get a piece of that
no,
business.
if
And
they
that
come
was
up with
my,
the game and try to market it while they are employed with the company.
If you want to market it after you have left Amazon, if you're like, hey, I'm quitting Amazon to wrap up my game, and 6
Yeah.
months later, you're like, hey, I've just released
Gotcha.
whatever. No, you're
Okay,
good.
the way Data said it made it sound like, you know, I'm Bob.
It's
I
not
work
like
for
it's
Amazon
not like a forever. It's not like a
in a
forever kind of thing.
server, and I came up with a flight simulator in my garage in my off time, and now Amazon owns it. Like, no, that's
There are companies that have those kind of policies, but I don't agree with that.
yeah. I don't think that's right. But
I don't agree with this
if you
policy at
used
all.
Amazon's code, then by all means.
I mean,
Then
also, like,
Amazon
There is that line, though, between somebody who is trying to develop something on their own with their own ideas and someone who's working for a company and by working for that company comes up with ideas to market something. And in that situation, if the company is responsible for the person coming up with the ideas that can be marketable, then logically that company should have some of the returns from that idea. That's
yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, you'll see that with, like, especially like defense contractors. You know, some engineer while working on a radar system theory comes up with a mounting bracket for radars. Well, guess what? You know, the reason he came up with that mounting system was because he was working on radars for Raytheon, and Raytheon says, "Hey, we give us a % of your profit for that."
Right.
You know,
So my
that
only
makes
point
sense.
with the contract idea that I was saying was that how can Amazon as a company make sure that I don't want to say they get what they're due because they're a big company and there's the idea that they don't need it anyway. But
Yeah, no.
how
I
would
think
a company say, well, you came up with this idea while
Protect
you
its
were working
intellectual
for
property,
us? So
essentially.
yeah, how yeah.
I think
How
that's
do you make
just
sure
where
someone isn't
whoever
running off with their shit?
that's where they need to, like, hey, get the person needs to provide a copy of the game, and it'll show what code it's based on, and if that's Amazon code, then Amazon says, hey, you used our code, give us a %. I don't see a problem with that.
Well, yeah, but that's why I was arguing how many employees are that work for Amazon, the amount of manpower you would need to have someone go through each of these
But
projects code
but
line by
not
line.
not every single employee is making
Oh,
a
sure,
game.
but even if you had 1%, because there was what, 1 million employees? So if we take 1% of that, we're talking thousands of people still. That's thousands, and even let's even say a tenth of that. Let's even say 100. You've got 100 people actively working on a game that they want to publish while working at Amazon. And so then you have 100 projects to go through, line by line, code by code to make
I
sure.
don't
hey,
think
that
you need to
are-
go line by line. I think their code is obvious enough to, like
I would
Crytek
heavily
Engine
disagree. I would
or
heavily disagree.
Windows to be able to say,
That's not how it works.
I'm not saying I'm a coder, but I've got enough knowledge to know that there are sequences that you can look for and just say, hey, look for this sequence or even these notes. These are specific to our code. And it may not return.
Because if you take Amazon's code, you change 10% of it. Okay, I removed all the notes. I changed this little part here. I changed this little part here to where just a Control F and paste in whatever your search criteria won't work.
We can turn this into an Amazon jungle search. But I'm getting at is
it's not going to be an easy peasy one guy sitting in an office going, yeah, it looks good.
No, and I'm not saying that. It's definitely something that, look at how many people they have working on, lumberyard. I'm sure you could have a couple employees that, hey, your job is to go through these different games that are submitted regularly and make sure that our code's not in there.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they're already doing that for other games, right? To make sure that, Call of Duty isn't sneaking in to use their code. Like,
those on Call of Duty guys.
That kind of stuff is already going on, is my point. Like, I don't
my
think
only
you need
point
that
here
much more.
was that I understand why they have a blanket contract statement that covers everybody, even if I don't agree with it completely.
Yeah, with how they're doing it, but from a corporate, because also too, it costs them nothing to throw
it doesn't
this
make
thing in
sense for a company to spend hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars to try to go through tons of code when they can just say, hey, if you're going to work for us, you have to sign this contract, and this is what it. This is.
But I agree. I think they're wrong, and I think it's a bad.
And it looks like you got struck down.
I personally I think this is really a kind of scummy practice, and I don't agree with it. And thankfully, as of August 12th, it was changed and gotten rid of.
4 days ago.
So it was changed. And the article was broken by Bloomberg. But the change in the rules applied with immediate effect on August 12th, Thursday, was shared in the memo from Amazon Games Vice President Mike Frazzini, as reported by Bloomberg. These policies were originally put in place over a decade ago when we had a lot less information and experience than we do today, and as a result, the policies were written quite broadly. And to me, these policies should never have existed. So, I understand, you wanted the broad thing because you guys were inexperienced in the gaming industry, but at the same time, this is bad regardless of inexperienced or not. Like, this is just a blatant, okay, if you make a game on your off time, because the original policy was pretty much any Amazon staff that develop or distribute, a game that they make, like an original IP and all that, is now, they have to use tools that are belonging to the firm. So the Lumberyard engine, which is pretty much CryEngine. Apparently, a lot of people jokingly call it the engine that makes you cry. If you're making a game and you work at Amazon, you might as well, hey, I just made a game. Can I list it here? Realistically, that's probably what they would do. But here they're saying you can only list it here, and you're forced to, as opposed to, okay, I made a fan game, or I made my own game, I should say. It's a new original thing, and I want to sell it and put it out everywhere I can, like Steam and stuff. And they have Amazon claims the rights to that game that you made on your off time, just at home, as as Callsign said, just in your garage or whatever.
Yeah, no,
it's like
no.
So, just so I'm clear, is this like we're condemning Amazon because they had this policy, or we're congratulating them for changing it?
I guess both. I want to point out that this policy is
I'm
bad.
refusing to take action in either direction.
There we go.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other. The beige alert.
It's good that they updated it.
Yeah.
I think it was bad that they had it.
So it's I think it's it was as I said, it's a scummy policy. I think they called it a draconian. They call it draconian rule. That's not.
But
really
I also think times were different then. So
yeah,
that you didn't have such a wide market of people doing stuff in their at home on their off hours. Like if you were developing games back then, you were part of a big team that was it was a huge project.
Except that's not always the case, because a lot of games did have small beginnings.
Well, I think in general, you look at most games that were produced back then.
Back then was only like what, 2011?
Yeah, but look, so most games from about like 1990 until.
But we're not talking about 1990. This was from like we're talking probably like 2000 and something.
Before you jump on it, what I'm saying is from like 1990 up until I would say just in the last 10 years, most games were made as like production teams. So like you'd have a team of you and your buddies. It was very, very, very rare that you'd have a lone individual creating a game. And remember, you didn't have a whole lot of apps. You didn't have, people weren't running a whole lot of games on their phones. If they were, it was like, Pong or Tetris type stuff. It wasn't, you weren't playing Oblivion or Skyrim on your phone. Like that's still relatively new. So I think a lot of that technology wasn't out there yet. So
I don't think that's entirely, like, I'm sure there were games being made by small people, like just by small groups, or I'm not saying like in single individual, but I'm saying I wouldn't say it's completely, it wasn't just every game was made by a major team or something like that.
Well, back then you didn't have cookie cutter engines. People were having to
but
build
that's
their own
true.
engines from scratch.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Is like you didn't have the homemade availability of making.
Yeah, but we're getting way off topic. You're talking like at this point we're in theory crafting, because we're talking about Amazon specifically and how
all I said was I think that the times were different when they made those rules. Yeah. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just saying conditions were different. That's all I was trying to say.
But I don't think they were that different. Like, I mean, yes, they were different. You didn't have you didn't have your Unreal Engines and your Unity and your whatevers. But at the same time, a lot of these games were, I know Halo had some pretty small beginnings, like original Halo CE. That's why it was in development for like 4 years before it finally released on the Xbox. But or something. So
you're saying the original Halo was a 1 or 2 man job?
It was really. I mean, it got bigger over time, but it started out pretty small.
But it's pretty small. Can you define that?
I think originally it was like 2 or 3 people originally, like when it first started. I could be wrong there, but I know it was less than 10 people, I think, when it first originally started.
But what does originally started mean?
When we're talking like the
concepting?
No, when we're talking like the Macworld build and stuff like that.
Coding.
Before it became even a third-person shooter, when Halo was originally an RTS.
So yeah, way back early days.
Yeah.
And when of course, I'm not trying to make blanket statements that every single game was like. I'm speaking in generalities. So, are there individuals like that? I'm just saying. Back then, the general lay of the land. Not saying there weren't a few little mountains and hills there or valleys over here, but the general lay of the land was a lot different. That's all. I'm not making absolute statements there, so I'm done.
I think it is a fair statement to say that times was different.
Yeah, time has changed. That's true. I'm just saying that regardless of the time, this policy specifically is shit. Whether it's 10 years ago, 30 years ago, or 2 years ago, it's a shitty policy that shouldn't have existed.
You can't judge policy that was made back then in those times with the rules and the way we see things today. That's not a fair.
Yes,
that's. I don't know. Even 10 years ago, if someone told me that something you just created, it's now everything. You have to use the company, whatever. You have to the company now owns it, stuff like that, I would disagree too. Even then.
Okay.
I mean, just because time, like, I understand what you're saying. It's just saying that this specific thing, I don't think this specific policy that you had to collaborate with other Amazon employees in order to, if you had to collaborate with anyone, you had to use Amazon's Lumberyard and game engines. You had to use Amazon's game store. You had to then give the rights over to Amazon in order to do anything with this game. That's not okay, regardless of what time it is.
Are you trying to say we have to agree with you?
No, I'm just stating my opinion here.
Okay.
I think that's the case. That it doesn't matter when it is. This specific rule is not okay, in my opinion.
Well, it's a good thing they changed it, so none of this matters, right?
Right. So, but the only reason they changed it is because it got out a few months ago, and then they got a lot of negative feedback, and they only changed it because everyone was on their ass about it. So that's how you get corporations to change things.
Well, generally speaking, nothing changes until someone decides, hey, this doesn't seem right, and then brings it up. So.
Yeah. I also think it's, people don't think about things like they don't realize, oh, hey, we've got, legalese statements in our documentation that we haven't checked in the last, 15 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to spend time doing that?
Case
right?
in point, when's the last time you fully read an end user license for it?
Exactly.
Yep.
We don't. We just say, well, we assume
Halo
that somebody
Infinite's
who's
flighting
smart
in
already
July.
did that
I read the
and will
entire thing.
raise any red flags.
I just had to renew my lease, and they handed my old lease used to be about 10 to 15 pages, and they just handed me over 100 pages, and you have to initial each page. And I was like,
yeah,
what is going on here?
Well, if you're going to initial each page, you might as well read it.
Level says this is the new lease that has to be signed by every single person. I'm like, okay, I'm not calling you guys out, but I'm telling you, I'm going to go through this thing line by line because I see somebody's being really, really stupid and doesn't know what they're doing just by the fact of how much bigger.
How many repeats were there?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
How many repeats were there? Like within the pages,
it wasn't repeats. It was just like it was adding different clauses that actually counteracted each other, and it was like 36 of them. Like one was saying none of your utilities are included, but then there'd be another subsection that was like 5 pages long explaining how you're going to have to pay them for the utilities. And it's like, so what is it? No utilities, or like you are providing utilities or you're not providing utilities, because you're countermanding each other. But anyways, when it comes to legalese, it gets dumb.
Honestly, I think it was also the way it's worded here, where it's like these policies were put in place originally years ago, feels more like an excuse for why they had this stupid policy rather than an explanation. Not to mention the fact that, Amazon games industry, like Amazon is only recently actually had some decent press with games. It's existed for years, but it was only recently that they're actually getting some positive news in the gaming industry with the New World MMO that just came out, or just had closed beta. And and I imagine over a decade ago, they're probably like, okay, anyone that comes up with a game idea, it's pretty much saying anyone that comes up with a game idea, we're going to make that our game, without actually saying that, instead just hiding it in the contract for employees. That's kind of what it feels like. I could be misinterpreting it, but that's what I'm getting from that. But anyway, it's done. They changed the rules as of August 12th, so it's no longer in effect. But it probably shouldn't have been in effect in the first place. Also, call sign. Yeah, I can't interrupt you, but you can interrupt me.
Yes.
What?
We're all going to interrupt each other.
What are you talking about?
Anyway. Cheeky breaky.
That went over my head.
It was a joke. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
We're moving
Yeah,
on.
half joke.
What else do we have?
We got Twitch promises more action over hate raids against marginalized streamers. Apparently, this is a thing. Thankfully, I haven't experienced this, but apparently, this is a thing that's going on. That I'm first hearing about it when I read the article over the weekend. So apparently, Twitch has pledged to do more when it comes to tackling harassment targeting at marginalized content creators streaming via its website. In a Twitch thread, the company responded to complaints over botting, hate raids, and other forms of harassment, and detailed steps it's taking to prevent this. The team said it had identified a vulnerability in the proactive filters already attempting to detect hate speech in chats, and has rolled out an update to fix them, with more updates in the works. It also said there are plans to launch improvements on channel-level ban evasion detection and account verification later this year. The site, quoting what the site said on Twitter, here they're saying, "You're asking us to do better, and we know we need to do more to address these issues." Pretty much it's... Oh, and then they actually show examples. Okay, so the tweets are believed to be response to both the trending hashtag #TwitchDoBetter and recent wave of hate raids. PC Gamer reports several marginalized streamers have seen a group of users raiding their livestream chat by spamming hateful messages. The messages include calling for gay people to be publicly executed, or claims that a streamer's channel belongs to the KKK. Jesus Christ.
How are these guys not being silenced by the mods immediately? Anyway?
I was going to say, like, what, these people don't have mods to just, like, take care of this stuff? Like, I don't have...
Like, where are your moderators?
I have, you can also set in your stream words that are not okay to say. So...
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is grow up. Everybody grow up.
Everyone grow up, yeah. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's nice that Twitch is kind of tackling this, but the fact that this was a little bit of an issue is a little weird. Like, then again, they do have things in place. It's just how are they getting around it? It's kind of the more...
exactly. It's like...
I'm having to expend effort to do something. I want to complain about it.
I mean, if it's happening, that's definitely a problem. I'm glad Twitch is doing something about it.
Yeah.
No, the whole...
Like, there was even some controversy if any of you guys were on the Star Citizen League server. There was a post where apparently in-game there was there's theories that it might be an entire org, but at the very least there was a couple people who were saying like racial slurs in the in-game chat, and just
I heard about that.
It's blown up a bit, and it's just like, all right, fucking mute the guys or ban them or whatever, and then move on.
Kick them out. Move on.
It's like, it'd be cool if we did have some amount of like chat filters, but it's like just screenshot.
Oh, so this is why the articles, because last year Twitch has gotten had its own share of sexual assault and racism and all sorts of indifference and inappropriate and unsafe and abusive behavior.
Well, they were the ones who were being used. Was it like people were calling ASMR channels, and they're basically like, hookers?
That's a different topic, where Twitch is essentially a softcore porn site. So,
right, but I mean that Twitch was being used as like, hey, send me dollars and I'll take my top off.
Right, and they say that type of streaming is against their laws, but they'll do it anyways.
Was that there were attractive female streamers who were doing things for Twitch staff, and in return, Twitch staff would give them highlights on the front page. And I'm not talking about sexual favors.
But even
they were doing, it was like inappropriate behaviors.
Yeah.
On the
that's a no-go.
Anyway, that's what that was about.
Because that's quite literally the definition of a quid pro quo. It doesn't have to be sexual, but
this is just from this is from last year, like a Twitch employee approached GamesIndustry.biz talking about systemic sexism, racism, and abuse that was in Twitch at the company.
Not surprised.
You could get me started on a cause, but it's probably we don't have time for that.
Gee, I wonder why. It's not like they run a softcore porn site.
They don't?
It's just that also the double stand. Like Twitch is one of the biggest double standards out there. In terms of like streaming platforms. You have along with YouTube, where it's like okay, you have people like attractive women that are like as call sign said give me money, I'll take my top off and stuff like that, and then you have the regulations that say you can't do that, but because these Twitch streamers are making money for them, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
That, and I don't like the fact that all the major streaming services do the whole hey, come over and stream with us, okay, and become a partner, and yep, now you can't stream to any other platform. Like that's just I just don't like that.
Yeah,
that's yep.
Because what does it matter if they stream somewhere else? Like, yeah, sure, it's your platform, but you as a platform, it's like if you can't go to McDonald's, and McDonald's is like, well, hey, before we give you your food, you have to agree to not eat at any other restaurant except McDonald's. That's like,
yeah,
it's because streaming is about being a personality. It'd be like somebody on a mainstream TV channel having a show on a competing.
right.
Well,
but that person isn't paid by Twitch.
Yeah, it's like if Twitch was hiring these guys, then sure, absolutely, these are your employees. You can go and put contracts of how your employees.
I would argue that
these are not
they
employees.
are getting paid by Twitch because the ad
Twitch is
revenue.
I'm about to say if they're monetized on Twitch, Twitch is the one.
No, they're essentially paying Twitch, and that's why Twitch wants this, because then it draws people, and that's how Twitch makes its money, is by the people who are showing
relationship up. Because the streamer wouldn't have the audience without Twitch, and Twitch wouldn't get the revenue without the streamer. So it's like a hand-in-hand kind of deal.
But what doesn't make sense to me is that it would make like, to me, your Twitch is limiting its potential draw by saying you can't stream, let's say, for this argument, to YouTube, because to me it would be like if that person could stream out to YouTube at the same time, be like, hey guys, I'm on both these platforms. You might have people who go, oh hey, I'm gonna go check out what else is on Twitch. But right now they're not doing that because people don't go to Twitch because that guy's not seen off of the Twitch platform.
When Star is like, hey, we're putting out such and such video, they go and they put it out on Twitch, on YouTube, on multiple different services at once.
No, YouTube's after.
Is it?
Yep. Because
I thought it was usually concurrently, because I thought I remember hearing them going like, we're taking questions from both YouTube and Twitch.
No, it's not YouTube. It's RSI website.
Yeah.
They have like a forum thread set up.
It's on Spectrum, yeah.
Okay, either way.
It's you also see it with a lot of the other Star Streamer citizens. Like they're putting out on Twitch, like Astropub. He puts out on Twitch, and then like a day later, you get it on YouTube because Twitch won't let them simulcast.
So
it's stupid.
The way I look at it is a company releasing what's the right word?
Well, they're trying to create
an
their
exclusive
brand.
game on a console. If you want to play this game bad enough, you're going to buy our console to play it on. It's the same kind of idea. If you want to watch this popular streamer, then you're going to come and watch him on our streaming service versus the other streaming service. Because if it's all based on ad revenue, if you're giving another streaming service viewers, then they're making money, and that money could be yours. I understand it from a business perspective. It's very selfish, but business-wise, it makes a lot of sense, I think.
To me, I agree with you, but I still think even business-wise, it's still short-sighted. It's
it's one of those things where it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense at the same time, because yes, in some cases it works, but then you have other cases where, especially in the gaming industry, where if you have a game that's exclusive, it means not everyone's going to be able to get it, whereas if you have a game that's not exclusive, it means more people can get their hands on it, and then you're making more money that way. versus the PlayStation's exclusivity thing where all their games, it works with the PS4, but now that's their sole marketing thing. Like the Xbox One, they really didn't have to compete that hard. So of course the PS4 did really well and had sold a lot of consoles and the games, all the PS4 exclusives. But with the PS5, I'm not so sure it's going to be the same thing. I mean, granted, we're only a year in, but I don't think it's going to be the same deal because now Xbox kind of has their shit together a little bit, and all Sony has is their console exclusives going for them. And when you're doing console exclusives only, like that's your only thing. I mean, it's not the only thing they're doing, but it's your main marketing gimmick in terms of like why buy this console over that console. You're essentially like, okay, so you get games that are limited. You're limiting your audience when you do that. Like, the whole point is so this way you get people to buy your console as well as the game. But at the end of the day, you would probably end up making more money if you have the game be accessible to everyone versus just people that have your console. Especially when your console is victim to scalping and it's really hard to get.
I'm curious whether that contract was written that way for Twitch specifically to counter Mixer, which has since died.
I was going to say, now it's become Facebook. It's become Facebook gaming now.
But another way I would explain it as short-sighted is kind of like if you have a streamer who's fixated on a specific game, and then that game no longer provides content, then you start losing all of those people who are watching that streamer. And then what happens? He's got to basically reinvent, she has to reinvent themselves, change to a different game, rebuild a whole new clientele because, the people who were coming for one specific thing only because that's all they provided.
Well, if they were doing that for a while and long enough that they accumulated a large audience, a lot of the time they can just do any game and the audience will stick because they're there for him at that point or her at that point.
Enough, then you pretty much need to change your game because people are going to get tired of the same thing.
And I think that's what Twitch is trying to do, but they're not realizing that on the level of that they're playing at, like they got a long uphill road to go.
Not to mention the fact that Twitch only recently added a copyright claim. What's face? Why am I blanking on? Appeal system recently. Because before that they had none. So essentially, if you're listening to music in the video, or you're playing, say, Arkham City, the Batman Arkham City game, the music in that game is copyrighted. So if you stream it or you have a video on YouTube that just has the in-game audio on, or the in-game soundtrack on, your video is going to get a copyright claim. And Twitch stream might be muted. Sometimes it's not, but they automatically mute the stream if it's copyright. And there's no way to dispute it until now. Now there's a dispute thing, whether it works or not. Thankfully haven't had the bad luck to try it, but
Yet,
I'm sure. It's guaranteed to happen at some point, knowing my luck.
I would say that this argument is another situation where we don't have all the information because I mean, Twitch is raking in money hand over fist, right? So they have all of the information on income to back up their contracts. So if we could see the big picture, then I'm not going to say that we would agree with them, but I think we would probably agree more with them than we do right now.
Possibly.
Are we talking about? Hold on, wait. I thought we were talking about Twitch and just their hypocrisy.
Well, I was talking about them, basically locking streamers in. That was my frustration.
They don't. Because like all the different
you can't
fiascos they've had recently.
Like that's why I've avoided going to Twitch, is because they are so into it, and everyone knows they're part of Amazon. So I mean, Amazon's pushing like, oh hey, if you're gonna if you want to show Star Citizen, you need to do it on Twitch. And to me, that's just that's like a whole incestuous thing. And I'm just like, sorry, man, that's just a step too far. That's why personally I avoid Twitch, just because I'm tired of all that and I don't want to support it.
Well, also remember, was it last year, I think, when we read that new guideline that Twitch made where they can take your channel down and ban your account and all that for something you did outside of Twitch?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? It's like, first off, that's out of your jurisdiction. That's like saying a New York City cop is going to arrest you for something in
they don't
Canada.
like, they can go and completely remove you from Twitch for it.
So I don't know about Facebook, like these non-problematic posts or whatever. But like if you go out and you're saying we need to kill people or acting in behavior, I mean, you are an influencer if you're on Twitch and you're a big name. So people are going to pay attention to what you do. And as a company, you might not be employed traditionally through Twitch, but you're making money through Twitch. So what you do reflects off of Twitch's name. So
what if you're not partnered?
then it's probably not as big a deal because you're not going to have as much viewership. But just take Twitch's
what
name
if you're not
out
partnered but you have 1 million viewers?
But take Twitch out, the name out of it. If you are being promoted by a company and then you decide to do things in your own personal life outside that company that doesn't reflect that company's views, do you not think that company has a right to say we are not going to support you anymore?
To a degree, yes, and to a degree, no. But there's a gray area there, and then like we were saying, you're not actually being hired by Twitch. If you were a direct employee of them, that'd be one thing. But we're getting, in my opinion, we're at far too many gray areas, leaps of logic, whatever you want to call it, for me to be able to just call it one way or the other, in my opinion.
There's definitely some weeds there because it's not employment in the traditional sense, but you are making your income, probably the vast majority of it from the big streamers, through Twitch platform. Twitch is also making money through you being successful on Twitch. So there's that symbiotic relationship. So anything that you do, even in your personal life, is now a reflection somewhat on Twitch or that company. I don't want to use Twitch as a name because
I call bullshit on that. I call absolute bullshit on that because that'd be the same exact argument of, for example, if we were to look 15, 20, 30 years ago, oh, hey, you're gay? Cool, you're fired. It's the same exact kind of logic that, what does that have to do at all with me doing my job? Absolutely nothing. But sorry, what you do outside the workplace, you have to maintain a certain image, and because of that, get out of here.
But it's different because it's not, if it was just some average Joe at a company, that's different. But on Twitch, you are a personality. You are an influence. Like hundreds of thousands of people may be watching or consuming your content. So it's different than saying like Joe Schmo at a company, like 5 people know who he is. It's a completely different ballgame for me.
I think the whole reason that we're even having these discussions is because it is in that gray area, and that's why it's a legal gray area, and that's why Twitch and other streamers, other streaming providers are doing what they're doing right now. Is they're trying to make money while it's still a gray area, and once it does reach a certain point, it's gonna get legalized. And then we'll have a clearly defined what you can and can't do.
Yeah, probably.
I do agree that like what Data Machine is saying, that you're being provided a means to revenue as a streamer by the platform, and the platform is making money off of you as well. So I mean, it is a quid pro quo, back and forth, agreement that's allowing all this stuff to go down. The question is, what is the legalities of that kind of a relationship? And that hasn't been defined.
I mean, look at it in terms of branding. Like people on Twitch have their own brand. People know them because of who they are.
I feel there's too many nebulous interactions here that it's not well defined enough to be able to go and be like I said, hey, you make a Facebook post we don't like, or hey, you do this that we don't like. Well, because you're in a public, you're in some of the public limelight here. Cool, you're out of here.
I think
my biggest problem with this whole conversation is that it's not being viewed through the eyes of responsible individuals. So
it's Monday.
If you expect that reasonable people are acting here, then the conversation is completely different than if you think, well, there's irresponsible people on both sides, and you can't really have a conversation about
We're
that.
talking about a community that's specifically marketing to adolescents all the way up through adults who want to act like adolescents. Like, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel with a large, quantity of people here in this kind of an argument because of what they provide.
I'll just say, if I had a company and there
and
was
you didn't hire us,
an employee that was forward-facing, that was in the public eye, that started behaving in inappropriate ways, for me, like my values, they were doing things that I found were inappropriate, then I would have no problem saying you either cease what you're doing, even if it's in their personal life, or I am no longer going to provide you employment or money through my company. And I think that is completely reasonable.
I agree with you. However, the court system no longer does, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know the court system doesn't.
Yeah, but I do agree with that, and I think that's a loss of Americanism is allowing business and individual ownership to make that decision. I also think that Twitch, one of the definitions should be if you are a partner with Twitch. In other words, you are in an agreement, a written agreement with them, then absolutely you fall under their jurisdiction. You're not.
Yeah, like if you're partnered,
you're on your own.
I can see some stricter stuff because you're partnered. That's the whole point of it, is that you are now in a official.
Do we know exactly what this whole conversation is about? Is it related specifically to partners, or is it just anybody in particular?
I don't know. You keep steering the conversation away from the topic, which was just that they are cracking down on harassment stuff. Which
how far did we get off topic here?
I don't know. That's what I've been spending the last 20 so minutes trying to figure out how did we get here.
This is
but because the topic was just they
I thought that's
they're experiencing a lot of apparently there's a lot of hate chat. I assume on really big name streamers. I don't know who they are or whatever because I don't know too much about this subject, and really the only time I use Twitch is for myself. But apparently there's a lot of racial slurs and stuff going on in chats, and they're cracking down on that. And my concern is that like that's great, but at the same time, I thought you had systems in place for this. Like I've used them myself. Like I've put in okay, I don't want to hear these. I've put in a few anti-Semitic slurs in my chat filter, so this way I don't okay, this is not allowed to say. If someone types it in, it gets automatically deleted and all that. So,
but Mando, that means that we wouldn't be able to hire as many people to listen to the audio background for DCMAs.
Oh come on, that's an algorithm,
Seriously, but it's the thing is they're supposed to have systems. They should have systems in place for this already. And understandably, there's and honestly, I think in this specific case, it's just they somehow found workarounds. It's probably just the more realistic problem.
Do we need
here.
To go into the shall and may lectures of legalese, which is
yes, we do.
One means you will, and one means you should.
And then
I'm just saying, most businesses, they go the should route, which means they don't do it until they're told they will do it.
And then what?
Because that costs money, and that's overhead.
Whoa, money? Whoa, hold on here.
I miss the days when a business.
First off, I need to say, hey there, Lady Mist. Lady Mist is in the chat. She's an awesome viewer who is in our chat often, and she said been off topic several times.
Hey.
Oh, so, there's a topic? What is it supposed to be, Lady Miss?
I think it was
topic. I started us off topic actually when I mentioned last year that Twitch had all the a bunch of employees, just like Activision Blizzard right now, coming out to say all these horrific things that have been happening throughout Twitch's life cycle.
So you
like
stole the cookie from the cookie jar.
Essentially, like Twitch has been.
I now remember the topic. What am I smelling?
Pineapple.
Twitch has been having issues even before it was called Twitch, back when it was called Justin TV. So, in terms of like employees feeling getting sexually abused and physical abuse as well.
Surprised. It seems like
all this is done.
Companies.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just say at a lot of these big companies, it's just like we're hearing about this again and again and again. It's just like, for fuck's sake.
Well, as we said last time, it's normalized, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is probably might be another rabbit hole, so I apologize. But the reason it's happening now is because all the people who grew up in the '90s who were around the overly sexualized video games, movie content, think that it's okay to treat women over sexually.
Men do.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not like only women were sexualized in those games.
I know it isn't, but I mean,
but you are correct. Men were the predominant audience of those games.
The culture predominantly in movies. I mean, it's all about pushing sex, and
it's because it sells
to young people, and they grow up thinking that it's okay to do that. Then you're going to get situations where they act inappropriately because they think it's okay.
I don't think it's that one-dimensional though. And I mean, you're not wrong. You aren't wrong. I just think there's another layer. Like, your parents are supposed to be involved in some capacity, as well as your school and your teachers. So there's clearly it's a mixed bag of. Like, okay, here's one thing, but clearly these other things were not helping at all. So you
don't have traditional mother-fathers, and I mean, you can't really count on school to teach children anything from this information.
Structure. So. Look how the family structure has been pretty much is no longer even a thing.
Now we're getting way out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Grant,
I'm blaming it on society. Is basically what I'm saying.
Of course.
I'm not saying you're
back
wrong.
To whatever the topic was.
Was the topic?
I think that was the topic. What is the topic? When all's said and done, Mando, I just want you to remember this is your fault because we keep doing this and you keep inviting us back to do it again.
Exactly, man. I blame
you. What do you mean it's only my fault? I didn't create this thing. Well, I mean,
it's your show, your fault. You got to take responsibility.
This was fine.
Fine.
And I'm going to keep pounding on the front door until you move to Twitch.
I will take full responsibility.
Damn right.
About time somebody did.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
what's the problem with society.
I will take full responsibility by blaming Data. I'm kidding.
And then Data is going to blame me or Cam, and then either one of us is going to blame the other one. And we got a
Lady Mist in the chat says, "You mean all women aren't size 38, 40, 20, 38, 24, and 36?"
What? Crazy.
My immersion.
What immersion? The only immersion you had was when you put your head in a bucket.
Oh.
How do you know about that?
I was there. You didn't see
forget
me
the wooden spoon.
No, that wasn't a bucket. It was an engine thruster shaped like a bucket.
Yeah, well, but either way, afterwards he had no head. So
we're like dogs in the trail.
That's the major difference. Was the bucket had blasted my head up.
Squirrel.
Where?
Where's the squirrel? Now let's not spend 20 minutes talking about the squirrel. So where?
Okay, so squirrels these days. Am I right?
On the topic list for us to murder.
Stuff, things, stuff. Yes, maybe, no.
But the whole problem. Back to the topic with the whole like Twitch. They had their own problems. Is that it's a normalized problem in just the entertainment industry as a whole. We talked about that when we first talked about the Activision Blizzard lawsuit a few weeks ago. You see it we're hearing a lot about it in recent years because people are finally speaking out, but it was there for, we're going back 50 years, depending on what industry you're talking about. In the gaming industry, it's been there since, I would even argue, the 90s, not the 80s. Definitely more so 2000 onward. But the movie industry, it's been there for almost a century. TV show, the television industry, same thing. It's depending on the industry, it'll be there for more or less, just because the gaming industry is a lot younger than the film industry. But entertainment as a whole has always had these problems. It's just we're finally hearing about it and finally able to get some solid facts about it, as opposed to just know it exists but not know anything other than it exists.
Right. You don't want to butcher the cash cow.
Too late.
Like the whole Harvey Weinstein thing, the casting couch. How long have people known about the casting couch? It was Toy Story 2 made fun of it in the bloopers at the end, and that movie came out, what, 1990?
Well, I mean, it was active because they were even the casting couch was even in movies all the way back to the silent movies. Like that, it was a plot line. Oh, we're gonna have a scene where you're gonna have to do the casting couch, but you're gonna refuse it because you're a good person and you're gonna run out of the room. Like
yeah,
that's how long that stuff's been around.
Yep.
It's crazy.
the real tragedy is that people knew about it and didn't do anything about it.
Right.
No, absolutely.
That but at the same time, and this is gonna sound, I'm not gonna say it. Never mind.
What, that these morons put themselves in that position?
Take us down a hole, and I'm not willing to do that today.
We're doing it.
Nope.
So what I think you're going to say is that
now we're going to spend 20 minutes trying to guess what he's going to say.
Is that pineapple on pizza is horrible.
I mean,
I agree with that.
I agree with that 110%. that why?
I love pineapple. I love pizza.
But the two shouldn't mix.
Combined, nope, not allowed.
Yeah, it's like I like spaghetti and I like ice cream, but spaghetti and ice cream together, fuck no.
I'm sure there's somebody somewhere in the.
If you like it, that's fine. Just don't make other people have to eat it.
Yeah, like what the frick, snick,
and
snack.
don't tell me what I
give a dog a bone. Kind of bullshit is this? It's funny that you say that, Cam. Because guess what T-shirt I'm wearing?
Oh gosh.
I'm wearing that exact T-shirt.
They let you wear shirts again? How could they?
Okay, so we killed this last topic. What's the next one?
Yes,
like Dad asked.
Pineapples on pizza, good or bad?
So I'm assuming there is no other topic.
I think that was it. I think we got everything.
True ones.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah. No. Unless I just want to go into Assassin's Creed, but I kind of wanted to save that for either Wednesday or next Monday.
I'm not really into that.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is a lot of people are leaving. We'll talk about it next week. I'm fine with not talking about it right now.
Dragon Ball. Wait, what?
But
so on Arma news, Armaholic shut down, which means nobody has anywhere to go to put their mods up anymore. So now all you got is Steam.
And the videos that have links to the mods.
Why did they shut down? Was it a legal thing, or they just get tired of hosting it?
Oh, they got tired, but I mean, they've been doing it for like 20 years, and they told everyone like well in advance, like, hey guys, we're getting tired of this.
Done.
We're getting done. Yeah. So I no fault to them at all. It's just that I think
they just didn't want to continue supporting
it. Realize just how large an impact it was going to have, and it would just list chronologically. Each modder would throw out, hey, this is my latest mod. So it let you see what was going on. Which I mean, you can get people's mods other places, but what you're not able to see is like what's been out for the past week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that.
So it was like a very in-depth, like what's new. What here's an archive of the mods, and so that kind of stuff.
Oh, they did everything. Like you could archive.
Yeah, that's something that like you got to maintain. That, and I can understand.
Yeah.
Like we can't do this anymore.
A lot of effort in to maintaining that site. It was a huge thing they were doing for the community, and it was 100% free. So I mean, they were taking it all on. There's no fault on their part whatsoever for quitting.
And then?
What else?
And then we were done.
Woo!
Well, we have this
what
T-shirt.
What is this word? I'm unfamiliar with it. Let's argue about this word. Done.
Yes.
Done. Finished. Gamartu. Marnu.
I disagree with its meaning.
Well, that's it. I think we're done here. I think we all fried our brains and going in circles.
Oh, last week I said anyone looking at Verpil, be careful because things might happen, and it looks like sanctions are being dropped on the country that they're produced in. So probably pretty good chance that
where are they produced in?
Belarus.
Okay.
You know, that country that has that president who's basically telling everyone to F off. He's the president. It's not their country. And basically Europe is like, you know, we don't like the way you're doing business, and you lost an election, but you refuse to admit it. So now we've talked about it for a long, long time, because that was like a year ago, and he's still in power. So now they're like, now we're going to start doing bad things. We're going to put sanctions on you. So
I love bad things. Wait, what?
Yeah, but it'll probably affect Verpil being able to sell their joysticks.
What could possibly go wrong?
I do actually. This isn't like Cam and I talked about this yesterday, but I want to know what you guys thought about this. So, you know that Marvel What If show?
The what?
The Marvel What If show that they have that came out?
No, I'm not familiar.
I haven't heard of it.
It's pretty much like, okay, what if, you know, one of the... they scrapped a episode for Man Spider, so which is what if Spider-Man became the Man Spider, like his powers kind of mutated, grew extra arms, and becomes this giant spider creature.
Arachnid?
Well,
yeah.
First, I'm going to take fault with calling him Spider-Man. He should be Spider-Person now, according to current generational rules.
Fuck the generational rules. No, but the reason why they scrapped it is because of it was too dark and had body horror. Yet they have Marvel. It was just like really silly and stupid. Like, okay, so you're saying this is too bad? Like, this is bad, despite the super censored '90s animated series showing it, and you have Marvel Zombies, where you have zombified versions of the characters eating each other.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, and
it's fine.
It's fine.
We deserve, as America, everything we are developing and what we're going to get just for the way that we are thinking. Wow.
In other words, reap what you sow.
Yep.
Don't hate, discriminate. Wait a minute.
I say don't do any of those things and buy this T-shirt. The one meaningful thing you can do today.
It just blows my mind that people can demand that you can't make something because they don't like seeing it. Like,
it's like,
what happened to your responsibility to look away?
I was about to say, like,
I'm not going to look at that.
I'm not a big horror guy, you know, so I just don't watch a lot of horror movies. That doesn't mean they should not make horror movies. It just that's not my sort of thing. Like, why is that?
Of what you're talking about, as far as what the actual thing is, or what was seen or whatever. But I'm just at that point where, like, when people are like, you know, that show needs to be banned because of this.
It's not the show,
XYZ.
so it's pretty much they
like,
scrapped it.
What your responsibility to not look at XYZ if you know that you're upset by XYZ.
Like, so for anyone that's watching, we did talk about this. Cam and I talked about this yesterday on Insert Name Here. But pretty much they decided to scrap the Man Spider story from where Spider-Man becomes a giant arachnid creature, and because it didn't abide to their PG-13 rating of the show, and because of the body horror, and it was being too dark. And I remember saying yesterday on the stream, I said yesterday, like, wow, so they clearly haven't read Kraven's Last Hunt, which in that story it's pretty dark. Kraven buries Spider-Man alive and then takes over.
Has anyone actually like read a nursery rhyme? Those are some dark things.
You know what you need? Have you ever read German? German nursery rhymes are the best.
Like,
so, ever read Sucker Thumb?
Brothers Grimm, like that is some dark shit.
What about was it Ring Around the Rosie, right?
Yeah, that's
ashes. They all fall down. I think the Simpsons, like going back,
dying of the Black Plague.
Going back like 30 years ago, The Simpsons made fun of that of Ring Around, like Marge is singing it to the baby, the pacifier.
Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. That's about Jack and Jill getting it on.
Jack got a shock and a
rhyme. That's about Jill losing her virginity. People just don't realize it. Like,
yeah,
that's
so much. We have to ban it immediately.
Yeah, exactly. There's,
but apparently having zombies that eat each other and like and we're not talking like cartoon zombies. We're talking like exposed organs and bone and like decaying flesh type zombies.
In the show, like things that are shown in that show.
Yeah, they're having it's literally called What If, like Marvel Zombies or something along those lines. I haven't watched any of this stuff. Like this show's not been on my radar, but I know what I used to read the original What If comics, and Marvel Zombies was a comic book they had a few years ago in like the mid-2000s.
I find it hard to believe that they can show organs hanging out of bodies and still be in the PG.
I'm gonna find an image real quick because they have promotional images for it. Like it was in the trailers.
If I recall correctly, PG is actually not that hard to maintain as long as you stay away from the sexual or
and swearing. It's mainly the swearing and the sexual stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say that them saying that it didn't conform to the PG-13 rating makes sense to me, but if they're showing organs already in PG-13, then I don't understand.
Like here's a still
from. One of those things they're just using one set of excuses for some other deeper, wider issues, maybe. I don't know.
Like here's a still. If anyone's watching, here's a still of Captain America from the Marvel Zombies What If trailer, and here's Tony, and it's like it's not organ hanging, but that's because this is the first time I'm actually seeing the images of the show. The comic book, the original comic book, was graphic comic book.
Yeah,
but this is
instance we're talking about.
You're saying that they couldn't do Man Spider because it's body horror. Then what the fuck is this?
Do you want to ask a question?
Like this is like a zombie Tony Stark. His face is green. He has no lips. He's all rotted flesh.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
what if I identify?
He has debris sticking. Like he literally has a shard of something sticking out of his head. There's blood everywhere. Like the suit's got blood on it. His face is all bloody. Like versus this is literally Man Spider from the animated series. Here, this image. It's like that's not that creepy. I've seen worse. In the same cartoon, I've seen worse.
Well, like, I mean, look at, for example, look at Doom. How much blood, guts, and gore is in Doom? Now, granted, it's an
Wolfenstein.
But, yeah, I mean, and that's one thing, too, I really don't get about the mindset of some of these self-proclaimed minders, to where it's like, oh, chainsawing someone in half? That's fine. Whoa, you're going to show a breast? No, think of the children. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Well, was it swearing?
Trying to make money.
It's gore and swearing is fine, but female breasts can destroy a civilization for generations or some bullshit like that? Well,
it's like Lady Miss said, the breast that they showed was not a full giant 38D triple D, so that's why it was not acceptable.
Yes, obviously, yes.
Also, I think you kind of you surprised her when you said that Jack and Jill was about losing virginity.
I surprised too.
Lady Miss in the chat. She's like, Jack lost his what?
No, I never considered that.
Yeah, it is. Go do your own research.
I didn't know that either, but I mean, I didn't verbally say anything about that.
I don't want to know the Muffin Man.
No.
It's too late. He's right outside your door. You should open it.
But yeah, it's pretty much just I just found like, okay, the news is pretty much they just scrapped this episode and people are kind of like, oh, that's a shame. I'm kind of just like, but it makes no sense because they have this, but they can't show that when it's also on the same level.
Like I said,
so.
they may just be using that excuse as the reason so that they don't have to actually discuss some bigger, deeper problem that caused it to be canceled, or
I mean, the story is really simple and basic. It's essentially just, at least the original story, he tries to cure himself of his powers and results in him growing extra arms, backfires entirely. And in the cartoon, they had him transform into giant ant spider creature.
Yeah, but maybe there's something, I guess what I'm getting at is maybe there's something else going on, that there was a reason they needed to shit can the show, and this was the least
the episode, you mean?
Publicly explosive way of saying,
maybe
we're canceling it.
No, it's possible that's entirely what happened.
I mean, that's usually what you see when it comes to people's retirements. At like major corporations, when there's a sudden reshuffling, it's never that the vice president effed up doing this, and this. It's, oh, the vice president has decided that he's going to he needs to spend more time with his family. He's gonna leave the company now. It could be one of those kind of things. They're just picking.
I don't know. To me, it just it probably just seems like incompetency.
Yeah. Isn't it always?
Lady just says, not the Muffin Man too. Think of the children.
You guys are really fixated on this Muffin Man. Kind of worried about that.
No,
I didn't bring up. I never mentioned the word Muffin Man.
I'm saying what Lady Mrs. says just said in the chat. Cam's talking about the Muffin Man.
Yeah, Cam's the one who's been saying it.
Oh. Okay.
How dare you, Data? How dare you?
So you're saying you don't like muffins? I see how it is.
As a matter of fact, I'm not a fan of muffins.
I mean, if I'm gonna mention any kind of like Muppets, that's I gotta go with the space aliens.
What kind of Muppet name is soap?
Wait,
anyway?
Muppets? Like, the Muppets?
Yep.
Nope.
Lady
Miss says some of the scariest movies have little to no blood or gore, which is true, honestly.
Those Alfred Hitchcock had it nailed down, which is the scariest movies are the ones that use your own imagination.
I was about to say, yeah. Like the scariest movies they don't use blood or gore or whatever to shock you. That's shocking. That's shock value.
Not even
they scare you because they make you think like, okay, this is actually a really scary situation. Stuff like that's more the unknown aspects. She adds or boobs.
A blank dark screen is more scary than any CGI effect you can create.
There's a reason why horror movies hold off showing you the bad guy till the very end, because if you see him at the very beginning, then it's not scary anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Terrible or terrifying.
And Lady Miss adds or boobs to what she said. Like some of the scariest movies don't have any of these things.
I'm gonna have to argue about that. I don't know. Just kidding.
I mean, she's not wrong that like scary things don't have to have boobs. I mean, come on, if you're gonna add, you might as well add them. It doesn't hurt the experience. Okay.
What was that new Resident Evil everyone was going nuts about?
Oh my god, the giant pale vampire lady or whatever.
Yeah, what's her name?
I don't know what her name is. We'll call her what's her name. That's fine. But yeah, Resident Evil 8, right? Resident Evil Village. Like that, everyone was like obsessed with her. Like all the playthroughs you watch, and like you see the streamer, it's like completely gaga for a digital character because she has a big breast.
Yeah. On that note, I think I'm gonna call it a day.
I think we're gonna call it a stream. I say it's been 2.5 hours. So yeah, I say buy the shirt on the screen right now. Do it because it's just a fun shirt. It's really comfortable too. And I'm not kidding. I am actually wearing it right now. So I can confirm that it is comfy.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I bother downloading the PU?
I say
Orson is pretty, but
probably
your
wait.
computer
I'd
might
say
not
probably
be
wait,
able to.
just because they're still doing hot fixes. So
True. Yeah.
Also, FYI, Orson is a great place to go to see it the first time, but if you want to do anything else in the game ever, stay away from Orson.
I
it
actually
takes a long time to travel to and from it.
Yeah,
Mhm,
getting
yeah.
in and out is
getting out is the painful part, and going in isn't exactly a real fun time either. But I will say this:
like the first couple times, but when you're trying to get places and do things, having to spend 15 minutes getting out of atmosphere is not a great experience.
I will say this though: ArcCorp is actually a really good place to spawn now.
Really, just about anywhere is a good place to spawn. Besides,
No, but I mean like ArcCorp specifically. I've been having really good performance. So
I mean, same with Hurston for me. Hurston used to be really bad.
I haven't spawned in Hurston in years. So
Hurston was the place I went to because Babbage and ArcCorp were really bad in the past. So
Hurston,
I think I'll probably stick with there. But sorry, I didn't get that, Cam.
I said Hurston. I haven't heard that name in years.
Lady Miss says, this was fun and have a great evening, everyone. And then continue saying, I made a shirt for myself. It reads, if I offend you, get the hell away from me.
Good.
I love that.
Drive fast, take chances.
All right, guys. Why am I taking them?
All right. Well,
see y'all
I
week.
hope just a little quick outro. If you're watching this on the replay, thanks so much for watching. If you got through all the 2.5 hours of news and bullshittery, then kudos. But
I disagree.
Free.
What, you're saying that they're not a real trooper, that they managed to get through this 2.5 hour episode?
Exactly.
No,
that's peanuts compared to our other.
Okay,
shows.
I'm obviously
just
kidding.
dissenting for the sake of dissent.
Okay, obviously it wasn't bullshit, but there was a lot of just off-topic nonsense that we tend to do, which is fine. But yeah, if you enjoyed, share the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that stuff. You guys know the drill. If you want to help support us in a more personal way, well, there's a T-shirt on the screen, links in the description, and that's about it. We're live every Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So next episode will be Wednesday, where we talk about, I don't even know what we're going to talk about yet.
Things